What we're gonna look at, ladies and gentlemen, is the doctrine. I always thought it was doctrine, but in law school, one of my professors said doctrine. So I'm gonna say
Oh
doctrine.
my God.
Isn't it doctrine?
Yep.
Doctrine.
Well,
Doctrine.
I don't know.
Doctrine. All right, doctrine. Doctrine of unequal exchange. So let me summarize it. So basically, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, the African tribal chiefs would exchange with the European. We're talking about for slaves. Basically, give the European a free slave for a broken mirror. Or, they weren't. What's a way to say this, Wani? They weren't getting their money's worth. It was almost as if the African tribal chiefs just wanted to impress the European. They would trade whole groups of enslaved Africans for broken mirrors, broken umbrellas. Just it was like stupid. And you know what? The European thought less of the African because he did that. According to Dr. Claude Anderson, white traders took advantage of the tribal chiefs' generosities. This self destructive tribalism, self enslavement, and lack of concern for wealth were interpreted by the Europeans as signs of inferiority. They believed these uncivilized, childlike heathens neither appreciated nor deserved their God given wealth. Consequently, whites rationalized that it was their moral duty to take and utilize Africa's wealth to put blacks to productive work as slaves. So that stupidity, ladies and gentlemen, that I get criticism for. You're being so mean. You're calling them stupid. Yeah, I'm calling them stupid. That stupidity is what breathed life into the system of white supremacy. And what I'm saying is, without those dumb African tribal chiefs giving away wealth to the Europeans, Europe would have stayed in the dark ages. It would have stayed poor, and the world economy would be different. So, do Africans blame Europeans for genocides? Yes, they do. But do they have the right to? Hell no. Because according to Dr. Claude Anderson, they were showing off. The European didn't come over there bogarting, to quote my mother. He didn't come over there bogarting at first. He came over. Matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, let's we're gonna tell the story. Let's tell the whole story. Europeans, after the Dark Ages, went to Africa looking for Prester John, spelled just like it sounds. Prester John was a very famous African king who was Christian. And rumor had it that Prester John would give great amount of wealth to any group of Christians that needed help. So Europeans weren't even looking for slaves; they were looking for Prester John, and they bumped into dumbass African tribal chiefs that said, number one, they lied and said, "I'm Prester John," and number two, they gave him slaves, and the European was like, damn, that's a good idea. Enslave blacks. So they doomed themselves. So do Africans blame Europeans for genocide? Yes, but should they? No. Period. All right. Have the FBA academic class fail the community? Oh Lord, here we go. That's part of my world.
Let's not get upset now. Yeah, I just noticed that a lot of attitudes that a lot of educated black women have are very, very white. With the feminism and all of the super guilt trips over white people's colonizing things and making us feel like we have to support all the things that white women have colonized. Like, where are they getting these ideas? Black American women didn't colonize anything. So why are we being abused just because we go to school with these people? It's called white guilt by proxy. We're not white, so we shouldn't be guilty.
Yeah, our Dr. Shahrazad Ali said the black woman's number one teacher and only teacher in the United States was the white woman. And I'm not caping, I'm not putting on the cape because the black family was intact in the 60s, the 50s and 60s. And to some extent, although our dear sisters were tricked into that feminism weapon, that weapon that we call feminism, um, our sisters were adults and they had, adults make choices. Well, feminism was a weapon created in Nazi Germany. We had a space on isms all these isms. If you see ism, more than likely it was an ideological weapon created to destroy cultures. Our brother Mark Carter talks about that ad nauseum with respect to University of Chicago and how and allegedly where they cook up some of these ideologies. Well, basically what happened, ladies and gentlemen, was a black family was 100% intact during the civil rights movement. We didn't have jobs, but we had mom and daddy in the house, right? And that the agencies deduced that that was a form of power. They said, "Oh, where are these black people getting power? They were getting power from family." Now that's very interesting. If you look at the original story of Christianity, the Memphite theology in Egypt, where the you had Asar Aset Haru, the Charist, which later became Christ, but it was the Charist, the bringer of gifts, the Christ. But that basically that story deified the family. The family was God. God was um, mother, father, and child. The European would later kind of morph that into Father, Son, Holy Ghost for reasons that I'm not going to get into in this space because I piss somebody off, but it's true. Well, the source of God was the black family. And what I always thought was fascinating is the three-letter organizations under COINTELPRO attacked the black family. The black family was target number one. So that makes me wonder if uh, the most ancient symbol of God is the family, and you are attacking the most ancient symbol of God, who are you aligned with? That's just my deduction. If y'all see where I'm going with that. But long story short, before I get in a long diatribe, is the black family was intact, and here come the isms. The European woman started to make a deal with black women to trade their family for a job, and we see that trade the family for a position. Um, this ideology was reinforced with public housing. What was the name of that movie with Diane Carroll, where she was a social worker?
Uh,
Claudine. Claudine, yeah, Claudine kind of talks about that at nauseum, where the black woman was it was a deal struck, which is Wani and Associates is so frustrating when you know history. Um, it's so frustrating that our some of our sisters made like Angela Davis made that deal with the devil allegedly. It's frustrating because if you look at history and you read Dr. Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States and other books, you would learn that the European man never got along with his woman. And in the 1920s, his woman, the European woman, started to break apart from the European man and say, "Fuck this! I'm gonna unionize. I'm gonna get my own job." And the European man laid the brutal hand, the brutal fist on her, started beating her. Dr. Howard Zinn tells stories of the cops being sick on Irish and Italian women who were protesting in New York and beating them, beating the pregnant women in the stomach just to make an example so the woman could give stillbirth to a child in the middle of the street like you fuck with us again. Well, the white women kept fighting the white man um, ad nauseum, but the white woman gained her independence, according to Dr. Howard Zinn, when white women, listen to this closely, decided, okay, well, I'm going to start sleeping with black men. Black men were allowed into the union. I think it was the IWW. Somebody fact check me on that. The Wobblies. Um, Women were allowed in the union, and then black men were allowed in the union. So white women and black men in the 19 in the teens and early 20s start meeting up in the IWW and having sex, and that the notion that a white woman, a low class white woman, would choose a black man over a white man to procreate with was so frightening to the system that the system passed the 19th Amendment. Uh, yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, I kind of got derailed for a minute. We were talking about how where feminism came from, but I digress.
it came from sexology.
Right.
Came out of all of that Sigmund Freud crap, and they learn all those things in school, even if they're not even in psychology and psychiatry. They still learn those same things because apparently it hides out in academia, and that's really where it's coming from. And then we get a lot of the. It's like you're supposed to be a feminist. Like they latched on to women's rights. Like, oh, you're supposed to want women's rights. Of course, we want women's rights. Of course, we want a bank account. Of course, we want to own property. Of course, we want to vote, but that's not what feminism is. That's the problem. This is yet another movement that latched onto a legitimate movement and went off the rails. And this is really what's going on. It's really a lot of tricking these broads in school into being Greek, into having all these personas. I noticed when they came out with all these genders, I noticed that people like personas, they like names. And even within our group, people branched off and did what people do, form new groups. Oh, I don't like the way they're doing it. I'm going to call myself this one. I'm going to call myself this one. Well, this is a legal designation. I'm going to call myself this one. Well, this one is more in line with how I feel. Well, this one is associated with the Democrats, so I'm going to call myself this one. You see? And they did the same thing with the genders. Oh, I'm this one. I'm that one. Pan this, trans that, blah, blah, blah. I want this label. It's very bizarre. It's crazy to watch. It the same thing happens with religions. Well, I don't like the way these Christians are doing it, so I'm going to branch off and do it this way. No, I like it that way. No, Mormon is the way. Baptist is the way. This is something that human beings do, but getting off track. Um, the issue. Oh, someone got lost. The issue is. This is weird. Shows she's on the stage.
Yeah, I see it too. But you're on to someone. Continue.
No, it's very bizarre because these women adopt these attitudes, the Boule attitude, I'm above it all, and they come out of these colleges with all of these things prepackaged in them, the feminism, and they treat it like that's normal. And then if you go again, if you say, "Are you a feminist?" Of course, yeah. I mean, I like women's rights. They have it somehow mixed up with women's rights. And then if you ask them, "Well, what are feminists? What do they do? What are they fighting for?" Duh. They don't have anything to say. Just like if I say, "Okay, I'll be a pan-Africanist." Okay, I love it. Let's all people of African descent bond together and be best friends. Now what do we do? Huh?
Well, Wani, you you touching on something that's very powerful in my world, in the historical Black college world, and in the collegiate world in general. Um, and let me be clear, I'm speculating on a lot of this stuff because I'm not an insider uh, in what I'm about to talk about. But what I have noticed, sister, is opportunities, internships, scholarships tend to go to students who identify certain types of ways. You know what I'm saying? Um, and on the flip side of that, opportunities and scholarships tend not to go to students who identify other types of ways. And I'm speaking codified with the reason, but y'all got plenty of sense. So read through the lines on this. I got on spaces because I had a young lady. I was the a representative for ROTC with a branch of the military ROTC. I'm not going to specify them and put them on blast, but yeah, I was a liaison, a professor, and an administrator at a historically Black college. And one of my little students, who was a cadet in a certain ROTC program, um, had a 4.0 GPA. She played sports, and she was engaged to a Black man. She's a Black sister, real attractive, engaged to a Black man who was full-time Army, right? About to get married. All she wanted to do was be a medical doctor. That's why she was in ROTC, to get that, that scholarship. And and she wanted to join a certain sorority, a sorority that was created for Black women, to my understanding, to fight white supremacy, but I don't know. Well, anyway, I watched this young lady get um, strategically denied grades in pre-med classes that were taught by Nigerians. And I saw those higher grades mysteriously go to students that were Nigerian or students that were from what's that place called, Zimbabwe, people from Africa. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was I witnessed this sorority that I'm not gonna name skip over her, not pick her, and pick a girl from West Africa who ended up getting accepted to medical school. And I saw this West African girl wearing these letters of this sorority that was created for the to help the black community. Laugh at my student, laugh at my 4.0 service woman who's about to marry a serviceman because she didn't make the cut in the sorority. That was enough for me. That's really why I got on Spaces. I had to find out what the fuck I was looking at. But in conclusion, um, just so what I said don't get lost in the sauce. What I was trying to say, I went around the world to say it, was from my view, from my 10 years experience in higher ed, it seems as if you're a foundational Black American man or woman, if you identify some type of way, you have more opportunity than if you don't identify some type of way. And somebody needs to get to the bottom of this.
It's pressure. It's the same thing in some societies where Muslims ruled. They didn't necessarily say you have to be Muslim, but you couldn't get certain jobs. You could be Christian or Jewish, but you couldn't get certain jobs. So eventually people just said, well, hey, I really want that job and I really like to have opportunities. So they had different types of pressure when they were pushing Islam. Mostly it was by the sword, but there were some enclaves where it wasn't. So this is a pressure, and you can see that people do way better. That's why everybody is LGBTQ, because that's the only way they're going to get to these positions, and we're going to see them as Democrats. They're not going to be able to do it any other way.
Yeah, what Wani was saying about the Islamic faith is true, and this may be hard to hear, but just deal with the truth of history. Islam used to be called Muhammadan. I got struggle trying to say it. Mohammedanism, and the way they spread it by the sword. Literally, a Mohammedan would walk up to you with a scimitar, like a curved sword, put the scimitar to your neck, and say "Muhammad or die." Muhammad or die. So you can have your opinions on that religion if you want. Fire Nagy, what's on your mind?
Good night, everybody, or good afternoon, whatever time it is. Professor Nikki and Wani. I liked your point. I want to kind of present a different point. It's going to be one coin, but two different sides. I do agree with what you said, though, Professor, that academic preference can be an issue. You said that quite a few times, and you made me think, like, man, if I had kids, I really have to wonder about who is teaching my kids. And I just saw a woman who was fired from a job because she played her black players. They ended up winning state, and they fired her because they told her, no, we wanted you to play the white players, even though they went 26-1. Um, so the point I'm going to make is two sides of the same coin. And the first point I'm going to make is no academia has failed. To a degree, we have failed to modify the ideas that were first taught to us. I think that the people who first presented certain ideas to us took us as far as they could with the limited knowledge they had and resources they had. Pan Africanism should have never lasted 100 years. Okay? I mean, while he was in Clubhouse, they've been tearing Pan Africanism down for like five years, and already it's crumbling. So that means that we didn't do our due diligence in actually understanding all the core values of Pan Africanism, right? We in our generation didn't ask the pertinent questions of what is the system of value that Pan African gains for the Black American community. We kept attempting to make it look as if it benefits us all, but the group that was disadvantaged was overlooked, and that was us. Um, and those are things that we have to kind of look at, any idea that gets presented to us. How far are we allowing the idea to go without seriously challenging it? And then that becomes an us or our generational's problem. And I will say to that, I said I said no to that, but then I also say yes. I listened to one of Tariq's videos, and in his video there was a Nigerian guy, and I'm quite sure you guys have heard this one. And this guy just hated Black Americans, and he quoted Dr. Claude Anderson. And I think at times we get so wedded to ideas that we're unwilling to change them. And one part of the quote that he uses, he said, Dr. Claude Anderson said that Black Americans produce nothing but sweat. And I want to divorce ourselves of the notion of traditional economics, and that is that Black people have to produce something, or we're not contributing economically. Well, America doesn't produce anything anymore. We're a service sector economy. Um, I can tell you right now that our football team in Kansas City, don't laugh at me because we lost the Super Bowl, but our football team has produced economic activity by virtue of winning. It drives up the cost of hotels. It drives up people's willingness to go out to restaurants and eat, things of that nature. And so those aspects, I don't really like the fact that we have completely wed ourselves to a notion of what economics is when we can see YouTubers making so much more money than people did back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, and they actually were producing record albums and things of that nature. So I hope I wasn't too confusing, but I wanted to present two sides of the same coin. One is that we need to look at the old ideas and challenge them, and the other is that we cannot be so wed to certain traditional ideas of economics and value that we don't see the forest on the trees. And with that, I yield the floor.
Yes, sir, and you're exactly right. It is complicated, bro. And I agree with 100% with Fire Nagy saying, but I wanted to, before we move on to Head and Shoulders, kind of push what Wani was saying because it's very important. As a active scholar, I have to be careful. Y'all, please forgive me. I got to be real careful how I say things. I'm not disillusioned. I know some of my coworkers are on here listening to me right now. I'm not stupid. Some people done already snitched on them. So hey, y'all, I know you in here. But and I also remind you, I got a First Amendment right. Do something about that, you're gonna end up in court. So please do. But anyway, back to what I was saying is, what concerns me about foundational Black American children is, in higher ed, is certain ideologies, like Fire Nagy said, like Wani eloquently said, certain ideologies are being pushed in order to get opportunity, and that scares the shit out of me because I've been that starving Black child, and I know how strong I am. Everybody isn't as strong as me. Certain people will act some type of way or engage in certain types of uh, ideologies if they're sure that they would get that big job, and or if they would get accepted into this group or organization that's associated with what? Getting a big job. And I think that's fair. I think that's very unfair. I think that professors and scholars need to be made by law to teach what they're goddamn credentialed in. I'm gonna teach history. I'm not teaching lifestyle. I don't have a degree in lifestyle. I don't have a PhD in lifestyle. I don't. What do I know about that? I can look at it from a historical standpoint, but it's none of my damn business teaching these children the best lifestyle to have. I'm out of line doing that, so I refrain from doing it. And all I ask is that other scholars and professors mind their damn business and teach their subject and stay out of people's business like that. It seems like some type of agenda, but I can't really prove it. Some type of bigger agenda. Head and shoulder, what's on your mind?
Hey everybody, shout out to you, Professor Wani and Nikki. And I'm gonna piggyback off of what you all were saying and Fire Nagy, starting in reverse order with what he was talking about. If I talk to my best friend quite frequently, and I've on my YouTube channel that I have not yet transitioned to delete the or hide the sports videos yet. I remember this. if I discuss that Sha'Carri Richardson, when she got banned temporarily, when they detected that she had weed or something, and she did not make the 2020, which was in 2021 Olympics, I said that she was the biggest winner. Her and Usain Bolt, they didn't even compete. Now, to go on Fire Nagy when he was talking about Dr. Claude Anderson, we don't actually have to win or actually even be the best. She was the number one talked athlete that year, and she wasn't even the fastest in the world. She was the number one talked athlete that year, and she wasn't even at the Olympics. There were more people that watched the 100-meter dash at the USA trials, even in the prelims, than they did in the Olympic final with three Jamaicans. They set the Olympic record at the time, too. I was excited about everything, and I'm like, okay, cool. But less people watched that than they did with Sha'Carri Richardson not even running the fastest time in the world that year, even at the Olympic trials. Still, the Jamaican athletes, well, only one, Shelly Ann Fraser Price, but only one Jamaican athlete, she ran faster than her that year up to that point. And Sha'Carri Richardson still had the media headlines, and she got a deal that was bigger than the Jamaicans. And on top of that, because I had pointed it out and made this video, there was a complete lockout of the Jamaicans leading up to that one infamous race where I roasted the hell out of her though, because she was doing some talking. You know how we got to roast people. She was doing some talking like she was gonna win, and then she came in complete last place. I'm like, dang. But leading up to that, there was a complete lockout from Nike. They did not cover the Jamaican athletes, even though they were sponsored. It was like as if, and I was kind of upset. I was like, okay, hype this like a boxing match because I'm trying to get track and field covered. You know, we don't watch it that much in the USA like we do football and other sports. I'm like, okay, cool. But guess what? They knew exactly who to cover. And who was there watching the other athletes that ran the second fastest since Flojo? They didn't care about that. They cared more about Sha'Carri Richardson. So I want to just point out we don't have to be the best or to even win at anything, and we are still hyper monitored, still getting the headlines, still doing everything. That doesn't prevent us from, wanting to be the best or working to be the best or anything like that. We just got the sauce, and that's it. And then as far as what you were saying, Professor, about the certain positions, I can say this right now. When I went to SIU Carbondale, Southern Illinois University Carbondale, I could say I saw this at Stanford, I saw this at Harvard, I saw this at SIUE, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, UIC, which is in Chicago, the University of Chicago. I'm naming off these places because I know you can't really say anything, so I'm gonna say it for you. I'm gonna take this sledgehammer real quick. Look, I saw this time and time again. They took And in this particular situation, they took somebody that was fired from the University of Arkansas, if I'm or Alabama, one of those two. It was some racist white lady. They put her over the black, dang, I forget the exact one, but it'd be equivalent to a black student union. They put her over that and hired her literally a week after. This is a DEI hire right here. They put her in that position, and we had to basically almost like answer. I was one of the few that didn't, but I wasn't one of the higher ups there. As soon as they put her there, yeah, it was pushback and everything. And I'm gonna tell you right now, 90% of all of the other black students went in line to the compromises that she was saying, because she had the purse. She was dangling the money over.
Right.
So it's like, if it was a black Greek organization, well, they had to go to her. If they didn't do what she said, then they weren't getting it. If it was the other, like a black male roundtable, which I think was the only one that actually that I remember fighting back in our theater club or whatnot, all the other ones, I think it was like 40 or 50 black student organizations, they basically fell in line just like that. It took 2 weeks. They were complaining still on paper, but then they started doing the little small janky stuff for her. So that's the type of thing that we're dealing with on an academic level. We know this happens in the workplace, but just being in an academic level, and I'm gonna share this with people here. I've shared it before. They got me with that trans stuff at that time because they had they had used some biological argument, and I got tricked up on that where I was advocating for something like that. I'm not gonna lie, I tell people this is where I go real hard in the paint against this stuff. Back there in 2008, there was some chick trying to identify as a man. I'm pretty sure it was like one of the pan people or something. While I did not agree with it, like with that person necessarily, the one thing I did agree, they got me with this. They said, well, somebody could be born with a different brain in the wrong body. I remember they used to say that a lot. They don't say that anymore. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's billions of people here. Some people born with tails, some people born with extra fingers. So maybe somebody could have this, but that's not how it works. Logically, I know that now, but all of that stuff over and over, and they're beating it in their head. And then you got professors saying that stuff over and over. They actually kind of sort of like warped my head to actually believe that. It took me about like 3 or 4 years later before I started to go away from that. But they got me, and I was there arguing with somebody too. I'll never forget that. It was the one time I did argue with that. Never argued it after that, but I did. And that's one embarrassing moment with me. I'm just gonna share that with you guys. They did get me at a relatively young age, 18 years old. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna share y'all. It's powerful. Those incentives
So
are powerful.
they said that it was like you're born with the wrong brain. So basically, like a man born in a woman's body, or vice versa. And that's what they were going. That's how they were selling it. Because that I got caught up in it another way. I got caught up when they were like, "Oh my God, Matthew Shepard was killed. All he was trying to do, he was born that way." I do believe people are born gay, because I saw one born gay. That's not the point. The point is that I agree that they should be, if they like each other, sure, they should live together. Sure, they should, be able to, be on each other's insurance or whatever. I had no problems with that. Get married, do whatever you want to do. It only caused a problem when men were saying that women weren't women and they were cis women. That's different. Now you're rearranging us and you're telling us that we're not real women, that you're a real woman. It got pretty bad there for a while.
Yeah, that's what woke me up to that stuff. If not, it was some other stuff, but that really did it. And then they started trying to say that the men could go and to areas that were designated for women, and try to do that with sports. And they
Mm.
always quoted back to this one person. I did heavy research on this because with the sports channel, they were trying to push this with track and field, and there were a lot of trans people that came after my ass on there. I'm telling you, those were some of the most flagged videos and almost got me off of YouTube. They are very strong click. I went back to where this stuff, well, the person that was credited for it, and the very person said that he regrets doing this anyway. You know what did this? It was some tennis player that wasn't really that good on the men's side and wanted to go become a woman. And the psychologist and some professors then reinforced the idea that this man should be a woman. That's what winded up happening. Then it got up to, I think, the Supreme Court decision or something like that. And then that person winded up being a playing in female tennis. And he said he understands that that's people's personal choice, but he does not believe that men and women should be able to play in different sports because it's an unfair advantage. That person, that very person that started this whole trans thing, winded up regretting it later and speaking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, one.
I was just going to say he didn't start it. It started a long time ago. The first trans surgery that we know of was in Nazi Germany, and they got ran out of town on a rail. And then they just brought all of that stuff here. And that's what they did. They literally um, were doing trans surgeries, talking about, uh, they were advocating for transgender people. One of the doctors that was doing it, he was also gay and he was a big advocate. And they got in trouble for doing that in Nazi Germany, and they continued. They just brought it over here and they kept on doing it. We weren't really paying attention, but they were changing sexes. They were standardizing what types of medicines to give people, coming up with all kind of protocols, and all of a sudden they just burst on the scene. They've always had the backing from the Freudians.
Right.
Freud was a sexologist, and anybody in academia, they all follow Freud. And
Right.
he doesn't have any empirical evidence about anything he was talking about. Um, but they follow him, they look up to him. And so if he had that idea about being a sexologist and he highlighted sex a lot, in fact, that's one of the criticisms that people had about Freud is that he talked about sex too much. He said that everything was related to sex, and people just felt that it wasn't. Just it was more like a projection because you were attracted to your mother. Don't say that everyone else is because you are into your sister, don't put that on everyone. So he was projecting pretty bad. And they still kept those ideas and those mindsets and put those in academia. And that's why we're getting all these weird results from these people.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all as an academic, let me get something very clear with y'all. The brother brought up a good point. Wani brought up a good point that professors and psychologists, usually psychologists are professors of psychology, kind of drive the culture. Well, professors don't get paid that much generally, unless you're at a real high university, and then you don't need the money anyway. Like Cornell West used to get paid a lot, but he had books. But I digress. But my point is, the bread and butter of professors is grants and grant money, and grants have agendas. They'll dangle a carrot in front of you to get that grant money. So, in conclusion, professors usually are, in a lot of cases, are pushing agendas. You know, what I'm saying that may not have anything to do with reality. Just be real careful because this shit's getting dangerous. All these suggestions of different options for life, when the options for life are very clear, um, I think it's very dangerous. Go ahead, Cash Gains.
Peace to the room. My bad. Was I reading the second part of the question of the title incorrectly though? Is it saying have FBA's was it literacy rates?
No, sir. It's kind of hard to believe. Read. I just didn't have space for it. I was saying, have FBA scholars failed the black community?
Right, right.
Have the educated class?
Dang, I can't even really say. I was really more thinking of speaking on literacy rates. But I mean, I never thought about that. I did.
Like the Boule and all that type of thing.
I'm gonna say yes because we, and I said we, I'm taking accountability for this. We had our chance in the '70s and the '80s and the '90s to build institutions for black students, and instead of doing that, um, the baby boomer academic class tried to assimilate with the system of white supremacy, like Skip the Truth Gates, and I can name so many of them, just trying to go along to get along when it's an academic's job to fight the system. Certain subjects are subversive. They're designed to make you question history, the classics. It's subversive by nature. You're questioning systems of power. But if y'all, and I'm gonna close on this, Cash. If y'all notice something, let me give y'all some inside game. Across the United States, schools of liberal studies, schools of history, schools of comparative literature, and classics are disappearing. And what are they pushing? STEM, right? They're pushing STEM and business. Why? Because STEM, engineering, and business is not subversive. STEM is do what I say. Just do this. So they're getting away with the whole subversive questioning narrative in America. America's going to, if we're not careful, it's going to turn into a land of fucking zombies, just like 1984. At the end of the day, we're gonna be saying, "I love my big brother." But go ahead, Cash.
My initial reaction is to give grace. Unfortunately, I guess. Like I think I don't want to down intellectualism for the sake of it, but I definitely think there are people who've been miseducated who might parrot talking points and achieve certain levels of accolade and believe that comes from a legitimate place and it might not. But I don't know. Like I think about what you just said about STEM, for example. Like we have the article that said that by 2053, African American wealth was said to be at zero. I think that that study was tracking people who were in the STEM fields, saying that although we were trying to get into higher paying professions, we ended up with predatory loans from student debt and ended
Right.
up flipping burgers while diversity hires and others were placed into those positions for the adequate pay. So you end up as a generation in debt. I think that the system kind of changed or it flipped or something, and ended up costing people more. And I also want to mention the '80s when CEOs made just times as much as the lower employee, and now it's like 250 times. Like I just think like certain things changed, and our access to education is a problem now. But and lastly, I just want to say like LeBron James, I don't think he has a huge education, but he did open a school. But I keep looking at that like, how can we expect ourselves to heal of the wounds that are still being inflicted on us? Like, I don't think it's necessarily even fair to hold intellectual. Man, yeah, I'll pass mic for now. Let me think about it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, brother. It's very nuanced. I'm not. Y'all know me of all people. I'm not against intellectualism. That'd be like me putting a gun to my own head. But who I am against is sellouts. Like Wani said, the class of people who the W. Du Bois class who sold us, who marched us into a goddamn burning house so they could have their position. Y'all know how hard it is to get a professorial appointment. To get my main one, I had to wait. I applied for that job. I got it 6 years after I applied, and I almost didn't get it. They're very they're gate kept, and a lot of these professorial perform appointments are given to people with agendas. Let me give you a good example, and I'll shut my mouth and move on to the next speaker. Angela Davis got an appointment, a dream appointment at Berkeley. Uh-huh. What ideas did she spew to get that appointment? Allegedly. Feminism. Allegedly. I think it was Slap. Um Slap, can you, I'm not gonna say your whole name. But yeah, Slap, come on
Yeah.
up.
All right. Like, shout out to you, bro. And shout out to Wani and Nikki. I'll be listening to y'all a lot. And as far as what the Africans think about us when they come over here to the U.S., they get this video that I'm hearing about that, like, it degrades us and makes them think less of us. And so I'm really like, I'm thinking like they really need to get their game up.
How do we get
And
this video? Do you?
yeah, I keep hearing about this video.
I need to know what that is because
Yeah,
the
because I've been wanting to
missionaries.
look this up myself with this
Yeah,
video that they getting to look at, and it's like as far as that goes, like they really need to get their game up as far as where they're going. Because if I go anywhere, if I go to Dubai, if I go to Japan, whatever, then I'm gonna get my game on where I'm going and what I need to do, who I need to link up with, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You remember what happened to Michael Fay in Singapore in the 90s. And so it's like I don't think they put enough energy into what they are doing as a group collectively. Like
Well,
they come over here and they look at us. I think they look at us jealously. They
Slap.
jealous.
Let me interject right quick. I'll let you land your plane. But that video, I've only seen it once. And I was in Rochester, New York, and one I was teaching at a middle school, and one of the janitors, who was cool as hell with me, was of Jamaican descent. He was Jamaican, and he was dating. He was a black male Jamaican. He was dating a lady from Turkey who was trying to become a naturalized citizen. So this is in 2016. They gave her a packet with DVDs and stuff to, take the naturalized, the test to become an American citizen and whatnot. And the video that I saw was giving her warnings, and it didn't outright say stay away from Black Americans. It didn't say the word Black Americans or African American, but it said hanging out with groups of people, certain groups of people can get you in trouble, and if you get in trouble you will never become a US citizen. Now in the video they showed like had black dudes with some hoodies on and stuff, so you kind of get the idea that it was telling them to stay away from us.
How do I find out who's showing the video and what the name of it is?
I'm gonna let me text Ross and see can he.
Because
Yeah,
the reason why is because the missionaries were saying something, and I contacted all of the missionary groups to find out what they're showing these people, because I'm not going to put up with it. I'm getting in their ass. You're not going to show some cannibals anything bad about my group. People that commit genocides and chase monkeys up a tree for dinner are not coming over here with an attitude. And that's why they're leaving.
facts.
Yeah. I I was just saying though, I feel they jealous of us, and we in America, Black Americans, we the baddest black group of people on this planet, and people don't like it. The whole planet copy us, and they don't want to give us credit for anything. And as far as these Africans, like I don't even think about anything what they thinking about. Everything they say about us is negative, yet they copy everything that we do. It really make me sick. It's sick to my stomach because like everything they fashion, like they trying to get on everything that we're doing over here in the States. Their fashion, their music, everything is like that. What they call that music over there again? That
Afrobeat.
that shit, yeah, that shit right there is like that's us. They just copy us to their fashion, everything. And so like as far as them, I don't fool with them cats over there like that for real though. But it is what it is, and we the baddest black group ever, and can't nobody have more patents than we do, more leadership than we do, more fashion, more music, anything.
Sports
We got it
day.
on lock. And so they can kiss my ass.
Head and
Uh,
shoulders above the rest.
Mine as well. Mine as well.
yeah, yep. Yeah. Thank you.
The nerve playing a video. I wish I could see this video
Yeah,
because I've been hearing people say that. But again, that only works on stupid people. Okay? Because we saw a whole lot of videos about Africans. That works on stupid people. I repeat, the same stupid people that keep killing themselves because of cobalt, because the white boy gave them a gun, because somebody told them to do it, because somebody came over to their little area and said one group was prettier than them. And whatever the case is, they're not smart because we were told very negative things, not basically told, but we were shown negative images. And we said, hey, these people who've lied to us are lying about them, even though they weren't. But we said that anyway. We second guessed what the white man was saying. Even though we were wrong, we still had the sense to second guess it. Okay? They don't have that sense. They, oh, the white boy showed us a video, that's it. You're all criminals. And they still say that now, even though 96% of black males have nothing to do with crime.
facts.
And 98% of white men don't have anything to do with crime. The numbers are very close considering the disadvantages that black men have had here in this country. Black men are in school just a little bit less than white men, which is astounding considering the disadvantages. So I'm not going to have somebody from a third world country come here with any kind of attitude. Don't understand how they could even concoct an idea in their head to point the finger. And let me put this out there. This only plays into the fact that they are not humanitarians and not nice people at all. They're raised to attack people that are down. So even if we were all broke, in jail, baby mamas on welfare, why do they come in trying to attack us? Because we go over to Africa and we see them with flies all over themselves and we try to help.
Preach.
We don't kick them in the teeth. They come over here and want to kick us in the teeth because they think we're all messed up in the street because they want to compare themselves to someone who's homeless on the streets. So that's the difference in the people that they are versus how we are. Because the last thing we would do is go over to some disadvantaged slum and start taking, making jokes about people and calling them names. The only thing we've ever done with those people is give them 25% more charity than every other American in this country, in a country that gives them more charity than anyone on earth. So we are the top of the top on helping these people for them to be talking about us in any negative way.
Mm.
100%. And they call me slap a cracker because I'll do that shit.
Well, I want to say that this on this space we don't condone violence. I respect your First Amendment right though, but I'm just letting you know we don't condone violence
All right,
anyway.
I get you, bro. I get you, bro. I get you, bro. Yeah,
uh,
I'll sit back.
no, you good, bro. I just have to say that. So, secondly, I see Doctor Your Highness. Doctor Your Highness, I sent your book out today. If y'all ordered a book from me this week, I just sent a. I didn't
I
realize so many.
got it.
Oh, you did already? Oh,
Yes, I love it. Oh my goodness. Me and my son is going over your book right now. And in the beginning of the book, he was reading about the Christopher Columbus, and he was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh my goodness." They said he was a good person. He said,
right. Oh,
"I
that
believe he
you.
was a," and my son is 12, but it was just interesting to see how, I mean, the way he responded, it was almost, he was like hurt, it was like, dang, like they said this person was a good person, and meanwhile he was like killing children and families, so
Right.
the book is amazing. I'm going through with him now, and I love that it's a workbook. I do plan on sharing this book because I'm like galvanizing parents. um you know we're doing a lot of community organizing, especially our black parents, so that we can, really get accurate representation, of our community as a whole, because people like to paint Chicago as like this violent place and it's killing everywhere. But most of us are hard working class black people who want better for our children. We want our children to have peace. We want our children to have access to good schools. And, we want our children to have access to all types of careers and career paths. And, not just in the space of like, degeneracy, but like they have more to offer the world. And I think the first step is educating them. And so I'm thankful for this book. I'm definitely going to share it around. I want some more books.
How can I get this book?
Yeah.
Go to yeah, good question. If you want my workbook, go to I put my Cash App in the Jumbotron. It says Our Story Publications. Go to Our Story Publications, put $25 on Our Story Publications, and put your full mailing address in Cash App. It has a line where you can write your full mailing address with your zip code, and I'll send out another group Monday. So yeah, I do have more books if anybody's interested. Again, go to Our Story Publications. It should be in the jumbotron. If not, I'll put it in.
I do see it, but okay, you telling me that I put this name right here in Cash App and type my address in Cash App
Yes,
and
sir.
it'll come to me.
Yes, sir. In the headline to me, you're typing your address and your zip code, your name, address, zip code, and I'll send it to you. And if you want me to sign it or something, you can put that instructions in there, and I'll send it out Monday. They come
Oh,
they come pretty
Trust me,
quick.
it's worth the $25. It's worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, definitely. Because I ordered the the book with all the damn hangings on it and all of that.
Yeah,
And
my
so
my what I'm trying to do, and it really warmed my heart, Doctor Your Highness. You really made my night because that's exactly what I was trying to do. I'm not trying to cast shade on anybody, but I'm trying to tell, and I write in my book a lot of times, tell our children the truth. That's what I sign it as. We just need to know the truth about where we are. Let me tell y'all some shit, some real heavy shit, and then I'll move on to the next speaker. Do y'all know I do? I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about this. I do ACT and SAT tutoring. Used to charge $40 an hour in Memphis. And do you know I boosted ACT scores damn near 20 points? SAT, ACT, 20 points with black children just by letting them know that the test was designed to trick black children. Just from black children knowing that the goddamn test was created to trick black people, they take it better. See, foundational black Americans, we're really honest in everything we do, and the goddamn system preys upon our honesty. If you know you in a rat trap, guess what? You gonna move differently. And that's what I do in my book is teach you how to move.
Well, a lot of these other groups have these, well, they call them studying rings, or but they're cheating rings.
Exactly.
And I think we just need to have those, not the cheating part, but the studying. Because I didn't do that. I didn't study a lot. I was like, I don't do homework. And I just whatever get whatever I had to get in the class. But you could do far better in school if you were in one of those study rings.
Well, our black children, black people, our intellectual capability is through the fucking roof. So we can handle the work. But the problem is and I don't want to take up the space with this, but these tests are designed in a way that are treacherous. The test is not honest. And if I let you know, it's like this, Wani. If we're in prison, my uncle Rodney, who was rolling 60 Crip in prison, he said in prison in LA, he said they said they'll walk up to you and say, "Hey, homie, here go a cigarette. I know you stressed out. Get a cigarette." And you get a cigarette and you smoke it. You say, "Damn, that feel better." And said, the moment you finish smoking your cigarette, the homie will say, "Hey, man, I want my cigarette back." Well, you're not gonna give your cigarette back, so they own you. Rodney taught me that game. Well, let me tell you this: if you knew that before you went to prison, you would move differently, right? Somebody walk up to you and say, "Hey, homie, here go a cigarette." You say, "Nah, man, I'm good." That's how you need to treat the ACT. The ACT has and SAT generally have two questions on that look like the right answer. So knowing that right now that this shit trying to trick you, you got 50-50 chance of getting something right. And that's how other groups see what I'm saying? We up here trying to learn some bullshit. You need to learn how to take the test.
what SAT stand for anyway?
Stanford Achievement Test and Stanford University's alleged racist ass, allegedly. Um, I had a really, I had, I had a, I had a good professor in graduate school who parents was from England. Like he wasn't racist for real. And he got in trouble for teaching us this shit. He taught us that SAT and ACT was created in the 50s or 60s during civil rights because they wanted to keep black people out of Harvard. They wanted to keep black people out of Yale and stuff like that. So they had to design a test that would support white kids and that white kids would do better than. I know all about this shit. Y'all want to see this without me hogging the space with this? Look up bitch test because there was a PhD candidate at University of Illinois, black dude who knew what I know, and he wrote a test, the same fucking questions off the SAT, but he wrote them in a black way. And the white kids failed it. It's called the bitch basic something. It's the bitch test. So the
My God.
yeah, the SET is not about how smart you are. It's about how white you are. For instance, and I say this and I shut my mouth. If y'all ever see Diane Yap, y'all come fucking summon me like a demon. I'm coming for it. But like the damn, I'm so fucking serious. Have a seance and bring me up in that motherfucker. Um,
I hate that
Can
Very,
you can
very
you say
ugly.
can you say it's because
It's
like
always the
technically we
ugly.
have like another language, like we really kind of speak a language
yes,
differently
Doctor
from
Your
like.
Highness. That's it. It's not even complicated. Doctor Your Highness hit it on the nail. Like for instance, the way it was taught to me. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and black children from Alabama, Mississippi.
Yeah,
We say viaduct. I don't know the black if y'all say viaduct.
yeah, we do.
What that
Viaduct.
mean?
So instead of on the test, you got a black girl that's smarter than a motherfucker in math, but the test will say the it'll say the overpath is 27 centimeters and divided by 20 centimeters equals, it uses the word overpass because the system has done their research and they know that black kids don't know what the fuck a overpass is. Overpass is what they say in the white neighborhood. We say viaduct. So the
We
test.
don't know what the viaduct is. I
I
know
don't
what
know
the
what that is.
overpass is.
Yeah, we
It's
call it
not black
overpass.
and white. It's you guys just say
It's
viaduct.
regional.
I'm just yeah, you're right, Wani. I'm just trying to use an example.
Okay.
The test will use
I just don't want
vocab.
you to think they gave the black areas a certain name and the white areas because I've never heard.
I'm only.
I mean, I've heard viaduct, but it's not really something that we say.
I've never seen viaduct on a test. It's just the way I can explain to Southern black people. Um,
I want to say real quick though that it's a lady in Chicago right now. She's actively like since the '90s. She been fighting for like legislation to recognize us for having our own distinct language. So what's going on now though is that the Hispanics, they get individualized, like they get extra help to
right,
know the English language, but they refuse to acknowledge us as having our own distinct language, and so we don't get that extra help, and so that's why they kind of like succeed more because I guess like you saying, like the way they formulate the test is in a different language. We do speak two different languages, but they're not acknowledging that.
right.
Hold up, Spanish people do what?
No,
They get more
yes, they
assistance
get more
on
But they're
assistance,
still
standardized
dumb. They're
testing.
still dumb as dirt, though.
but they
Yeah.
still get more help. They get
They don't even speak Spanish. How are they better than
no, but
us?
they're getting help to speak English.
But they're still dumb.
Yeah, but
Well, Wani, and it's so
It's hard to speak English when you don't speak Spanish. How does that even work?
Wa-
What are they teaching them from?
it's so frustrating, Wani. Like when I was in school in the '90s, when they were throwing black men, including me, in learning disability. I remember LD. They were rounding us up, throwing us in LD.
mm-hmm,
We didn't have professionals trying to help us out. Wanting what they have now is something called ESOL. English is a secondary language.
mm-hmm.
And they have teachers, those teachers at least have a master's degree. They have to be certified. And they are taking these Hispanic children out of class. Not just Hispanic
No,
children,
no, no. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying they're still dumb.
but we deserve
They
that.
can.
We need our
We
own.
do. We do. We need to just have the same thing that the others have, which is the, well, they call them cheating rings, but like I said before, tutoring. We just need tutoring,
Right.
a form of tutoring that will, because my attitude was like, I'm in school, I'm out of school, goodbye. And it's not like that. You still need to do stuff after school because you're not getting the attention that you need in the school. You're just sitting there probably thinking about something else. You just need to do more work.
Well,
And everybody's not
Wani, let me give you a perspective. Let me give all y'all a perspective that makes the shit even worse. Which everything both y'all said is true, but let me give you an educator's perspective. So you got little Miguel in a classroom. He don't speak English. When kids can't, let me tell you how children work. When children can't do a task and the spotlight is on them, they're gonna do one or two things: put their head down and try to go to sleep, or cuss you out and start fighting. Because it's more honorable to say "fuck you, motherfucker." I fuck you and your class. It's more honorable to do that than to look dumb. Got it? So what? When Miguel don't understand something, he can hit a buzzer or say, "I want Professor A or Doctor A. I need an ESOL." It's like a, what do you call it when you
Yes, yes,
what do you
I understand what you don't have to explain that part to me. I get it. But Miguel and the rest of them are still dumb. They don't even have intellectual conversations. If you'll notice, they don't sit up here thinking about and pontificating and going over what this means. And they're just mowing your freaking lawn. And that's
what
it. And up in
what
McDonald's somewhere. They're not
what
doing anything, so I don't feel like being put behind them when I'm not behind them.
right
Damn, Wani, I ain't never even
want
thought
want
about no shit like that
Do my
want
before.
tacos.
Like,
Do my
Wani,
tacos.
Professor.
Wani,
Yes.
what drives me fucking nuts is Lil Tremaine. This is what drives me nuts. Lil Tremaine, a little Jonathan, or one of our children is struggling with something. He ain't got no buzzer to hit. You know what I'm saying? He gets suspended.
Yes.
So that's what drives me fucking crazy about the ESOL thing. We need our own ESOL
No, I get
now.
it. We need extra not we, certain people
Certain people, yeah.
need extra assistance, just like the crazy white boy that they put on Ritalin. Give him something. Move him somewhere so he can stop disrupting the class. And all the people that don't even speak English, I don't even know why they're in the class. They shouldn't even be in the class
See
with
that
English speakers.
that takes away from like what we're going through in Chicago is that takes away from us, our children, because they while they can't speak English, then they have the extra resources to teach them English. So now, like I know teachers right now who have to like first of all, they just got some stuff passed to where like now they got allocated funds to not only teach them English, but like give them money and phones and all that. But just imagine being an educator and like now you have to like go through language barriers and give extra help to them. And you got your students. So now you kind of, you might even be even more like tugged to even now you more focusing with the other kids who can't speak English at all. And now you can't even focus on the ones that can. That's what we going through.
Yeah, it's
Can
awful.
I interject real
They're
quick?
dragging
I
on
also wanted
everybody.
to
Yeah, you coming up. Hey, love, you coming up. Go ahead, Wani.
No,
I just wanted to say we spend money also as a teacher. They get iPads, they get different programming on their Chromebooks, they get a lot of they get translators, they get a lot of things. And I'm also in Chicago area that they spend a lot of money on, and they do not provide that money for our black children.
okay,
I'm
Nope.
they
sorry.
so
get iPads.
hold up. So now that's good. I hope that Donald Trump says this is an English speaking country. And if you don't know how to speak Spanish, get back on your banana boat and go home. Because
Preach,
they shouldn't be dragging our students. Any American student shouldn't have to sit up behind them and have them in the
preach.
class. They shouldn't even be in the class with you.
Yep, yep, yep. We're gonna go to and that's so true. Last thing I want to say, y'all kind of hit a nerve with me, but I'm not gonna get triggered. I'm gonna let it go. These ESOL programs, guess who's paying for it? We are. It's coming from. How in the fuck do you take my taxpayer dollars and pay
Oh,
for
trust me, all of those things are being stared at very hard.
good, good? We're gonna go to Hey Love. Go ahead, Hey Love.
Hey everybody, thank you for inviting me up. I just had a few points before I drop back down. One, I'm very happy that you said something about the way Black children are disenfranchised during standardized testing. There's also just a lot of data that shows that standardized testing does not prove a person's actual intellect. That's one. And two, 95% of a lot of those tests throughout the nation, they are based solely on white material. And that's why our kids are not doing, in my opinion, as well, plus the language.
That's a fact. That's not
Uh,
an opinion. That's a fact.
I agree.
Like the
Also,
bar exam.
Yep.
I agree. And I'm not just talking about testing for elementary, middle school, and high school. All testing is probably about in the range of 95% or more white material.
Yep.
And so that's why white kids statistically do better at it. And like you said, if they were to be tested in our language or over our history, they would fail just as miserably. That's one. The second part is that video of immigrants, watching and being warned against African, well, not, I'm sorry, I don't say African Americans, Black Americans. I was just gonna say, like, I get on the spot what she's saying, about it, being only stupid people will believe that. However, I think that we need to attain a copy of that because that also strengthens our claim for reparations here in the United States because the government should not be putting out negative propaganda against Black Americans that sway or could sway people to cause violence against us, to disenfranchise us, to overcharge or cheat us, etc., etc.
We should sue them point blank. They should be sued for that. And the nerve, like I said before, of the people coming over here from pits of bodies that they've created, chewing on feet and doing any other thing, having little boys dressed up in girls' clothes and raping them. You come over to my country and have the audacity to look down wherever you came from. You are not looking down at nothing because you've come here on your knees and you're going to leave on your knees as well.
I agree. And I think, like I said, it does put them in a position to want to harm us. I think they also have seen how the United States government responds to Black Americans, and I think they know to a certain extent that it is easier to get away with harming us, to committing fraud against us, and all of these things because the United States government does not protect us in the way that they should. And so that leaves us opened up to their chaos, for lack of a better words.
You can't,
Thank you all so
you're
much.
welcome. Thank you. We
Oh yeah,
can't,
come back.
we
Make sure you
can't,
come back.
we can't name one country that has come over here on their knees that did not come from a background that is absolutely shocking. If
Facts.
they didn't come from a pit of bodies like Ukraine, they came from raping little boys like Afghanistan
Facts.
or eating each other's legs and arms.
Like Congo.
Yeah. So if y'all show me a country that has a better background than us. Because they've all left a trail of blood behind them, hatcheting each other, and they brought it over here. They brought the gangs and the hatchets and the machetes over here. So good luck with that. Oh, this guy Mo didn't speak.
Oh, go
Oh, we
ahead.
need to go
Is it my turn or no?
to Rob. I mean, oh, who was next? Was it you, Jet? Just
Yeah, it was me.
okay. Sorry.
It's all right. Peace to the family. Just to say anything, Nikki the God and Professor.
Hey, Just
Hey,
Jay,
Wally, what's
before
going on?
Just Jay, I had the mute on before. I'm gonna let you talk, but before you speak, y'all look in the jumbotron. You'll see the bitch test. It was called the Basic Intelligent. I'm sorry, Black Intelligent Test of Cultural Homogeneity. Homogeneity. I can't. I struggle with that word.
Homogeny,
Homogeny. There you go.
no
Uh,
X and
and
T.
and you
Silent.
looking. Yeah, it's a hard word for me.
It's all
Uh,
right.
no, you thank you because I was what was fucking it up. But if you look at number two, it says clean. It says what does clean mean? A, just out the bathtub. B, very well dressed. C, very religious. Or D, had a great deal. So class in the black world, what clean mean?
Fresh out the shower.
No, it don't. It mean very well
No,
dressed.
I'm,
No, you guys need to not do that. Come on now.
No,
This is
Wani, that was his
ridiculous.
that was his PhD thesis.
yeah, no,
Uh,
Go ahead, Jay.
no, y'all good, y'all good, y'all good. Um, what I wanted to touch on is like the topic when you say the institutions failed us. I would say yes and no. Um, like when I was going through higher education and stuff like that, my curriculum was pretty much it would start off as psychology, and I ended off in like arts and science. Um, it was pretty much my determination that pushed me through to study, to research, and everything. So I was very argumentative with my teachers, and my professors and stuff, because I got extra information that was outside of what their tutelage was, So that helped me out. So I don't want to say like it was truly the universities, because we do have our own responsibility to achieve. You know what I mean? And second thing is, like, I think that they really get us based on definitions, how they define things and how things are redefined. In my studies, I look at things, and it just pretty much hit me when I was doing this. As we going through this delineation movement, it seems as if, let's say like how they marginalize us. I think the better word or term would be ratioed. You know what I'm saying? We as Black Americans have been ratioed in America. They put us in a group, as just how do you say it? Just plain Black people. So they put us in a group with just everyone. And then we advocate and we fight underneath these terms, Black or the term minority. And if I look at things without the ratio and put it into proper perspective, Blacks are not a minority at all. We have the third largest populace in America, sometimes the second, depending on how rates are going in certain years. So when we fight, or when the politics come up, they always put in Blacks, but then they don't say Black as a minority. They say Blacks in other minorities. So I don't think that refer to us, because it seems as if the results always turn out that the people that come in, those are minorities. They get all the services, they get all of the funding, they get a head start. And I think that's very disingenuous to us, because our the people that we put in offices and stuff like that, even if they look like us, they may not have been educated properly or haven't did the research on their own to come and draw to the same conclusion. How are we a minority group if we're in the third, sometimes in second position here in America? And if you look at the numbers in the populace, you see who the minority groups are. Those are your Haitians.
I
Those are
have
your, but
back to on my book. I forgot the page, but I did a page that's coming from Dr. Francis Quest Wells. And prove that, bro.
mhm.
I have a page, a coloring part where you can color the world map, and I asked you to color, you know, color the color, color which what part of the map is not of people of color, you leave it blank, and you'll see real fast how much of a minority Europeans are. They are less than 7% of the world, which, brother, is why psychological warfare is so important. Our dear brother, our fallen brother, Doctor Amos Wilson. Said the only way that a small minority, being quote unquote white people, Europeans, can dominate the whole large majority of the world is to keep us out of our mind. So we're being attacked in the mind to
But
think that we're minorities.
we're not
Right.
a
But I'm not saying as in the world populace. I'm just saying here in America.
we're
I don't
not a
want to touch on world
minority
events and stuff.
per we are a minority, but
No,
I
we're
get
not.
what you're
We're not a
saying.
minority.
We're more than white people.
No, because that's the thing. If you group people in
Hold
just
on, hold on,
basic
hold on.
groups,
We're marginalized. That
no,
part
we're
is true.
ratioed. We're ratioed.
We're
Because
marginalized in this country. It does, even if we were a majority, it would still be like a South African issue. They're the majority, but they're still marginalized.
I would say yes and no. I would say based upon our achievements and everything that we have stand for, I don't think that we can be really marginalized
Oh,
like that.
hold on, and now I need some understanding. So, wanting, I agree with you. We are marginalized. I have two questions. Number one,
Mhm.
wanting, how does that work? How do we fucking marginalize the largest group of people, like in South Africa? How does that work? Number one, and then the
Right.
second question is for Just Jay. I want you to explain your yes and no. But
It's
go
Okay.
ahead, wanting.
it's two different things. So with us, we shot right to the moon when we got out of slavery.
Hmm.
And we had all kinds of very high positions in politics, but we keep being attacked, physically attacked. Like towns burned down, them flipping what they were doing with us, taking our power away that we gained, running around forming terrorist groups, all kinds of things that we won't go over in this room, but we can go over in another room. So we were heavily, heavily attacked physically, and oftentimes we had to scatter or move to another part of the country. So that's the marginalizing. We were not brainwashed to think that we were less than because we fought back against that mental attack with Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and all of those types of movements. We always had dignity and we were always wanting to educate ourselves, and we have the 101 HBCUs to prove it. So we're not in the same position as the South Africans. I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying that they are the majority, just like Jamaicans are the majority, and they're being marginalized by two Chinese people and three Arab people and some overarching lice supremacists. Um, these are just structures that are put in place to keep us down. Yeah, we are marginalized. No matter which way you count it, we're not more people than white people. And even if we were, they are still holding a lot of the power. So go ahead.
Are you saying like we're not more than white people in individual continents? You're saying like
Yeah,
as in
In this country, how are we on other continents now?
no, no, no.
yeah, yeah.
See, because you brung up Jamaica and all the rest of the stuff, so I was trying
Okay.
to, you know, I
Are
conflated the two.
are Jamaicans of African descent the majority in Jamaica?
I would say yes.
Okay, because there's like a
Well, see
handful of
now
the
that's
other
that's kind of
groups.
ambiguous because Jamaica is just a nationality. So the people that
Oh
come there,
Lord.
Chinese or
Oh
whatever,
God.
they're still Jamaican, right?
No, 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 no. We're not doing that.
You're not getting the point. Like
No, no, no.
people
I
in
get the point.
Jamaica.
I get the point. It's
Well,
just for post clarity. You know what I'm saying? Because I
okay. Are we all Americans here?
yes, I'm an
Okay.
American.
Okay. And white people are American as well, correct?
As correct.
Okay. Are all the Jamaicans Jamaican?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that Jamaicans of African descent are the majority?
Yes.
Then why do they get run out of the town on a rail? Why are they all over here piled up in New York
Well, I'm
looking like a bunch of dummies?
right.
Anybody know? Why are
I'm not.
Chinese people kicking them up the ass? And there's only two Chinese people over there.
Explain it,
And
Wani.
they
That's what I'm
own all this
asking.
and they own all the stores. Well, how did
I
that
need to
happen?
know. How does
How,
that work?
yeah, that happens. It's called white supremacists, putting them in place so they can overlord over them. It's the same thing we're dealing with. So you can imagine that we're not
But we
being
keep overcoming,
oppressed.
unlike you
Yeah,
know.
we're fighting. We're the only ones
Yeah,
that fight them, but we're still being abused.
Yeah, tell them one.
I can agree with that. I
Facts.
mean, like I'm in my late 40s, so I'm not anywhere near like blind to the effects of things. You know what I mean? Like my family history is deep. You know what I mean? And we get told stories. So it's not like I don't know. It's just like when I
Where
focus.
you from, brother?
Where am I from currently? Where am I at? I'm in New York.
No, no. Where you from? Your family?
My family, well, let's say this. My great 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 grandparents come from Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. And let's see, my great 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 grandmother came from no, I think it's Birmingham, somewhere in that area in Alabama. So majority of my family come from the deep south.
So you FBA?
Of course I am.
All right. I'm just like because these
That's why I didn't even bother with my
what
parents. I
Wani
shot straight
really
to my
talking
great great
about.
great grands. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It sounds like you're conflating all skin folk as kinfolk. You're saying,
No,
well,
I don't do that. I don't do all skin. Oh, no, we don't.
it sounds like you're including like Jamaican. That's what I'm telling you. It sounds like I'm not accusing you of anything.
And
I'll tell
which
you. It sounds
portion are
like
you
you.
saying?
It sounds like you to me earlier. It sounds like you were including all groups. Like we're all together. We're not a minority. We
No,
being
no, 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 no. That's why I said specifically in
The
America. If we break it down
professor
by
got that
by
right.
ethnicity,
He got that
What do you
right. I'm
consider
feeling the same
what do
way
you consider a
because
minority though?
well,
right.
a minority. If you look up the term minority group, those are people that has less numbers and portionality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like
And we
when you look at
do. How many white people are there in the country?
that's kind of ambiguous because
It's
when they
not
break it down,
ambiguous. You want to
let me
break
let
them
me
down
explain
by
before you
their
jump on me,
I'm
Wani.
not jumping. Are you breaking them down by just relax?
Yes, by where they come from their
Okay,
nationality.
Just slow down. We're
that's
trying to get an
fine.
understanding.
Right.
Okay, so
Well, I didn't get a
it's
chance to
still
put
a
it out
bunch of
there.
white people though, so that's the
True, I
problem.
agree with you there, but when I say it like that, when I look at the numbers, They say Germans is the number one populace. They skip past Italians. I don't know why, but Italians is up there as well. So it's Germans, Italians, African Americans, aka Black Americans. We're normally in third or second place. Again, depending on which year you're going to check the census. And then the next one is Mexicans. You know, Even Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, et cetera, et cetera. Their numbers is low compared to the
Well, let me
Mexican
tell you
numbers.
why I'm confused. Because last time I looked at the census, it said Hispanic. It didn't specifically say Mexican. It said
Well, you got to
Hispanic.
go look. You got to look for the information, Professor.
Probably nationality.
Because they do give you the numbers broken down by nationality or nation of origin. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
so I was looking at the nation of origins because I kept trying to get this in my head. Like, yo, we're always being overlooked from immigrants that come there. Yeah, they may look like us, but they're getting more opportunities than we are, even though we've been here. So where's the correlation at with the effects? Cause and effects. Everything is called causality. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, all of our politics keep putting us in this minority group. Germans get things just like we were saying, delineation. If we go by lineage, we get things, right? So Germans get things from being German.
What do they
Italians
get?
get things from being
Hold on. I
Italian.
need to know about this. What do Germans specifically get for being German in America?
Well, they have a couple of programs. We're not in tune with it because we don't look for it.
Hold on, stop, stop. We
True.
got to name them because we're going too
Well,
fast without specifying.
The German population that came over, I believe, in the 19.
Hmm?
It was before the end of World War II.
That's fine. Yeah,
No,
we'll
no, no,
get
Hold
no,
on,
it.
no.
hold on, hold on. Let me just explain things first. Just to give an example. You
Hold on,
asked me, what are they
hold on,
getting?
stop,
Go
stop.
ahead.
Hold on, we're going too fast and we skipping past things. Let's go. Let's rewind and let's take it real slow.
Okay.
What exactly are the Germans getting?
Well,
What name a program?
NASA.
NASA codes the
Oh
Germans?
my
Yeah,
freaking
majority of the
God.
scientists
This
that
is
the
the end.
majority of the
No,
scientists
no,
that
no,
built
no,
NASA.
no, 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 no,
Wani,
Hold
I'm
no,
on.
no. You're
done.
playing games now.
Majority of the
That's called
scientists that
Operation Paperclip. They didn't get NASA. They got their ass out of the war without being called a damn war criminal.
true and majority of
How is
them.
that them getting a program?
Hold on. Can
There's
I?
other people working there. They're not, it's not just them.
And
They
this ain't gonna work with me. I'm from Birmingham. I'm
No,
from
this is
that
ridiculous.
area.
they got tons of grants
This
coming
is
out from that
ridiculous. Now,
same
No, no,
no,
place.
this
Go
is
ahead.
not.
this is not right.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the gentleman one more chance.
Go ahead.
Now, what
Go
programs
ahead.
did Irish people specifically get? They've been
Well, I'm not at my
trotting
computer. I'm
around.
laying down in the bed, so I can't just go and just grab up information.
Well,
Okay.
oh,
I don't.
just name one program that a specific ethnic group of whites got. Just name one,
I
because I know a whole lot about this, and I ain't never heard of none.
Yeah, they move around as one white
As
block.
Yeah,
white,
no, no, no,
yes.
no. I'm not going against what y'all saying as for how they group together as underneath one umbrella as white. I'm just saying where it comes down to specificity, where people get certain
They
programs and
don't get
stuff like
any
that.
programs.
Sure, they got their
They
own
didn't get
things that get
NASA.
funded. Like
They
like
didn't get
oh, hold on. I
NASA.
got one for you. The
No, 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 no. We won't do this fast talking stuff. Well, let's. If it's true, it can stand. It can slow down and be specified. So, sir, I'm just responding to exactly what you said. I'm paraphrasing you, but what you said was specific ethnic groups of white get specific things. I said, which one? You said Germans. I asked you for a specific program that the Germans got, and you said NASA. That's not true. So name an, I'm giving you another chance. Name one, because if it's one, I need to know about it.
Thank you. I know you muted me. Um, Let me be correct. There's an organization that's funded by the government. Let's say I forgot what it's called. I think it's like it's what's it called? It's a oh right the what's the name of Scottish Rights. They get funded from the states and the federal governments, right? So
So,
these
Scottish Rite. Let's be clear. You talking about masonry?
I guess that's a masonry
Yeah,
group,
the Scottish Rite is a branch of masonry.
right? Which denominations of them people are Irish, Scottish individuals.
No, 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 no.
No, they're not.
A lot of people join Scottish Rite. They
I'm right
don't,
down the block from one, bro. Like we rented out the hall and stuff.
And
The
they're
sir,
all
people that
Scottish,
operate that
okay? They're
are
all
Irish,
Scottish.
sir.
Scottish.
Come on now, man. Come on.
Come
Really
on,
blowing smoke
man.
up our butts now.
Bro, I'll get the address and send it to you. You can see who they directing it
Can we
with.
make bets on any of
Thank
this?
you very much. Thank you,
I need to
sir.
make
Next
bets on these
speaker.
things.
Next speaker. I'm not gonna. He really said Scottish Rite Mason like that's gonna be for the Scottish folk.
I
Ugh.
can't do it.
Where's men's? Come on, men's. Where you at? I need men's right now.
I swear to God, that was very bad.
Man, oh shit. Fire Naggy, come up here. Oh, I'm sorry, Wells, come up here and clean up this mess. Then Fire Naggy, come on, Wells.
I don't have a big enough mop.
Oh, wait a minute.
I don't have a big enough mop. You know what? I wanted to how everybody's has a let me start all over again. I hope everyone's doing well tonight.
Doing good. How you doing? Good to hear you.
Okay, good, good. I wanted to just follow up with what Wani was saying, with regards to this indoctrination of hate that's coming through these organizations, I guess through the government when these people are coming here. But you have to also keep in mind that it's these international professional hiring agencies too. It's also international embassies that it's coming from, but mainly it's coming from a lot of these religious missionaries that are in these countries and have the time to raise these foreign racists with all kinds of negative indoctrination about Black American people. And I've heard people say that. That they come here and it's because of the missionaries in their respective countries why they have the kind of attitude they have against Black Americans, and I think it's time to expose it because it is likely funded by taxpayers. When I looked at the list that Elon Musk shared of all of these NGOs that were getting millions of dollars, and there were just pages and pages and pages of one of them, some Lutheran Christ something or another, I wouldn't be surprised if they have their hands in it too. Um, and as far as the title of the room, it says, "Do Africans blame Europeans for genocide?" I was thinking about that, and I just questioned, do they even know what genocide is? Because I don't know if they can tell the difference between a genocide from the Europeans and the genocides from their own people. I don't know. So I land with that.
I'm up here speaking through a mute again. That's a good point, Wells. Not really sure, um, but it was a good point you brought up. Fire Nagy.
Yeah, I want to also circle back. The first part of the question I never really touched it. Do Africans blame Europeans for genocides? Um, and I want to circle back and ask you too, where did that narrative come from? And I ask that because we understand that colonization was a very complicated thing, but in the process of colonization, there was a lot of collusion. So, who started the narrative that it was the Europeans doing all this and not the way it actually happened? Whereas if you look at India, even in the princely states, they colluded with the British Empire.
What?
So,
Well, the narrative, just to be clear with you, I think as far as our space is concerned, Wani and I picked this topic because last couple weeks Africans have been coming up here on my space and Tariq space talking about how Black America FBAs got gang violence and we kill each other and we shooting each other in violence in Chicago. And I was like, violence in Chicago? How about the violence in the Congo? Number one, we don't know if we shooting each other up. Our brother Dick Gregory said that those hits on black men in the street could be some fucking government shit to Oregon harvest. But I said, but Wani brought up to me that there are whole pits of bodies in Africa of genocide. So how dare you come in our space and fix your mouth talking about violence in Chicago when y'all killing men, women, and children, killing people on their goddamn wedding day and video recording it? How dare you? But back to what you said, I think, and Fire Night, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know everything, but scholarship shows me, and I put a timeline in the jumbotron that African tribal chiefs sold, were the first to sell slaves to the European and the Arab. So my argument, this is just my argument, my academic argument is that these African tribal chiefs, through showing off, were the first to sell African slaves to the European, and thereby invited the European madness and insanity into the land of West Africa. Dr. John Henry Clark said the African invited the European to the table, and the African became the meal. So I'm saying, given that fact that Africans invited that goddamn the damn European to, in not no nice way, they invited them to show off and selling my ancestors. The African basically let the European in his house, and the European went in his house and started plotting on what the fuck he was gonna steal. So I'm saying you can't run around saying the white man did it to us when you invited him into your house. That's my
I
argument.
guess more precise to the question, since how did the European ever gain an outsized portion of the blame as opposed to the African gaining more of the blame?
The Pan
Like
African.
Right.
the Pan Africanists?
Yes.
Okay, because I noticed that even in the situation of India, the princely states they basically colluded with the British, and I'm like, where does this narrative come from when you guys are the ones who mainly perpetuated your own demise?
And Nagy, it's the same shit, and we just don't have a. I haven't discovered yet a pretty word. Maybe that's my calling in life, is to find out what word. Some historian coined the British East India Company, but there got to be a word. The same. What I'm trying to say, brother, is the same type of shit happening in West Africa. I've been over there, bro, and these Africans in Ghana and in fucking especially Nigeria and Benin, like these folks still got money. They still got that slave money. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is I don't know what it was called. It wasn't the East India Company, but they had some type of connection with the European where they were making good money and still got good money off that connection. So just like what I think I hear you saying, they were complicit and they not complaining. But they complained to the goddamn UN and to the government to get funding, which I want Donald Trump. I want somebody to fucking stop that funding to West Africa. It needs to stop because it's going to people who sold us into slavery. Hopefully, I answered your question.
It's just a confusion as to how it's for me. Even when I study Native American history, the Native Americans were fighting each other, and that's how the Europeans came in and they kind of undermined them. They said, okay, well, the Apache and the Comanche are enemies, or was it Cortez that went to the Aztecs and used the Aztecs enemies against each other? It has always puzzled me as to how the Africans kind of just evade all blame. It just like you guys don't even get blamed for this, huh? And then you see how that evasion of blame continues to be a problem to this day because if they never take responsibility, never take ownership of a problem, they always can say, "Oh no, it was the white man," and it's like, bro, the white man is like gone, and how many of them were there? Like 10, 100?
Right. Well, Nagy, we're like in real time changing that goddamn narrative because we came for the Pan Africanists. Like Wani said, these Pan Africanists have been supporting West African criminals and slave traders and saying that they were on our side. So they've been getting internal cover from Americans in high position. I noticed during my last appointment at Historically Black College, damn near 90% of the not professors, PhD administrators were Pan Africanists. So I'm really not sure what Pan Africanism is all about. I have my opinions that it may be a goddamn government operation. My evidence for that is Malana Karinga. Look him up. There's a lot of evidence that is persuasively shows that he has connections with government agencies. Malanga Karinga was convicted of a very heinous crime and got off with a slap on the wrist. You know what Suge Knight said about that? Suge Knight said when you get convicted of some hard shit and get off with a slap on the wrist, Suge Knight calls you a word that begins with R and rhymes with cat. So you can look at it that way. But I think these days have ended. The evidence overwhelmingly shows that Africans. I mean, I'm struggling right now just trying to figure what book I want to open. Like I got so many. but we'll just go with the Snyder book. Dr. Snyder, uh, the married couple, PhD couple, Dr. Snyder said, quote, uh, free Africans as a group by no means objected to the slave trade. He and she said enslavement did not offend their moral sense. As far as the record shows, though nobody wanted to be enslaved, only a few Africans protested the slave trade. A good many Africans engaged in commerce, especially the most powerful leaders. The shrewdest of their followers also profited in the flourishing new economy. European goods created new markets with eager buyers. So they made a deal with the goddamn devil. And that's why their economies to this day is fucked up. Because karma, this may not be academic, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Karma is real as a motherfucker. And you can't go around selling folks' children to a goddamn insane person and think that things are going to go right in your country. I've been all over West Africa and it just seems West Africa is gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the land is just beautiful, but it just it's something spiritual there. It seems like they just can't get it together. And my opinion is they violated something very sacred on a spiritual level and they're paying the tax for it. You know what I'm saying? Last but not least, Dr. Snyder's plural say the trade not only talking about the slave trade not only commercialized the economy and changed everyday life of Africans, but it also corrupted them. Allegedly, African kings sold wives with whom they were angry. African parents sold children whom they could not feed, and desperate Africans sold themselves. It fucked up their moral compass, and their moral grounding. And like our brother Tariq says, they couldn't trust each other anymore. There was no trust, and the foundation of any successful economy, any successful society is basic trust. You and I walk through the mall, and we just trust that nobody's going to grab our daughter and run off with her and throw her in a limousine. It happens every once in a while, but that basic fabric of trust in West Africa is broken, and you can feel it all in the air.
Well, I want to push back a bit because
Go for it.
it says that their morals were. What did it say about that happened to their morals?
Oh, hold on one second. I just slammed the
I
book, but I
guess
know.
no, that's okay. I
No, no, no.
don't
It
believe
said
that.
their it
Go
said
ahead.
their it said their enslavement did not. So it says enslavement did not offend their moral sense.
They didn't have any morals. That's the problem. What morals do they have? They're marrying 9 year olds. They're walking around naked. They're putting people in bondage, killing everybody when they die. All the slaves get buried alive. Where are the morals? I don't see them. Ages
You
of
should.
consent are 7 years old until the international community got on their case. What animals have sex with juvenile animals? You don't see a chicken humping on an egg. All of these people doing this are just really, that's animals don't even do that. So, where do we see a cat humping on a kitten? No. They don't even have the hormones to signal it's time to mate. They don't even wait for people to go into puberty.
Wow,
That's the sick part about it.
that's a good point, Wani.
Animals wait for the animal to get into estrus or go into some sort of phase where they're able to be adult enough to participate, but no, they made up their own rules on that. So I don't see where they had any morals to begin with. They just didn't seem to have what we're calling morals. In
Well,
fact,
since you opened that door, Wani, I'm gonna go ahead and step through it. Let's go ahead and do this shit. I spent a good amount of time in West Africa, and a lot of our time there, we just stayed in the hotel and watched TV. And we watched show. You can, if would you agree that you could understand a lot about the culture by watching the TV shows? If that's true, what I just said, a lot of the TV shows in Nigeria and Ghana were the family oriented TV shows were centered around black magic, what appeared to be devil worship. So I wonder, did that have something to do with it?
well, that's the
Sacrifice and
heart of their religion. Ifa, um, that's what you're going to have to sacrifice somebody. The whole thing is sacrificing. So you can't be an Ifa practitioner without human sacrifice. So all these people again, these Afrocentric people, Pan Africanists, talking about you need to get in touch with your African spirituality. Really? Do we really want to do that? Because that's what they're doing, for real. That's what they do. So we can keep playing around on the edges of it, but just look at what they do. It's not even a secret.
I got in touch with my African spirituality in the middle of outside the jungle, outside Togo, and those of you who seen the picture, I bet you don't want to get in touch. I got attacked by. Well, let me leave that alone. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but those of you know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's just say I had a visitor come visit me in Africa,
So
and yeah,
I don't see where they, again, like when their little girls start to get their period, a lot of these tribes will send the girl over to have sex with what they call a hyena. They want to get rid of that. No more of being a virgin for you. They don't even think the same way as
why? Why? What's the logic behind
they
that?
don't.
That's
They want to
crazy.
get rid of it like it's a problem. Get, now you know how to have sex. Now you're able to be a wife. So
What?
it's just a different mindset. Very similar. Another case that we may not know about is certain Native American tribes. They didn't put a value on being a virgin. They said that the Native American girl was encouraged to go have sex with a settler or any other person she wanted to experiment with, and that did not in any way diminish her value within the tribe. They did not say, "Oh, you've been out humping on, Captain John Smith, so now you're not good enough." They wouldn't have said that. They would have said, yeah, now you can marry somebody who's, uh, a decent person in the tribe. That doesn't take away. So that's our notion that, um, and I think it's a good notion, to be honest.
Right.
I don't think it's, I don't think it's a good idea to be out with everybody. you know that's just me, but they don't have that attitude. Like I said, that one old guy will have sex with every girl who just got her period, or every girl who's uh now supposedly a woman at
Wow.
12 years old, and just to get rid of the virginity, they call it removing the dust,
What?
sweeping away the dust, removing the dust, and they've convinced themselves that that's what they need to do with young girls. Many, many, many countries practice this, so it's
Wani,
not
that
even.
sounds like that satanic ritual with Moloch. The what do they call it?
Could be sex magic,
Yeah, it sounds like the murder of cares or something.
or it just
Removing.
could be one of the rites of passages that people do around the world, just to get you into, oh, now you're a woman, now go cook and do whatever else women do in your village. So
Could it be an induction into prostitution?
no, it seems, well, again, when you have no value on your sex, just your first experiences with this random guy who's doing this to everybody, that doesn't, that kind of would mess up your mind. That would make you think, oh, I can just have sex with anyone. It's no big deal. It can be transactional, and that's why they have all that cheating over there. That's why they have the paternity fraud, because of the way that they think about sex.
Wow. Yeah, but which Wani, everything you just said, really, as a social scientist, I say you just kind of made the case to why they're not like us. And I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying, like our grandmama used to say, baby, who that girl is, who our people is, what our people do. When we do that assessment on them, we see that our values don't match. So it may be in our best interest to keep a distance and love them from afar, because that's not foundational Black American values. I'm just saying. Carl Irby, what's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, sir.
Hey, back to you talking about us having our own language. You talked about Vidoc. Um, we we would say the country folks would say that because my dad, uh, he wouldn't say somebody was from the country. He would say they were from down home. And if you didn't grow up around that, you wouldn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
So that's all I had. Honor to talk to you and Wani.
Yeah, it was a bad example. Yeah, I use it when I'm explaining racial bias in testing because I've been in the South so long. Southerners want to understand Vidoc, but there are groups of people that have PhDs in test making. It's called psychometry. They're psychometrists. And the psychometrists who develop these SATs and ACTs develop them in a way, and shit, like somebody else said, like the LSAT, the Law School Admissions, all these tests are developed in a way that benefit Europeans or white Americans rather, and are diametrically opposed to Black
May
Americans.
I ask a
And
quick question? This
go ahead.
viaduct, is this only in black neighborhoods?
Uh, no, it's just an overpass.
But is it only in black neighborhoods?
The only
No, that's
time
just
I
what
heard
what what
Vidoc was
country
in
folks
black,
would say it.
Huh?
maybe black country folk. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's only around black people? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I've never heard a
yeah,
white person say Vidoc.
Can you turn up your thing? I can't hear you at all. Carl,
yeah. It was just only black country folks would say it.
why were they saying it?
That's just the way they was raised to talk.
I, I know, but that's a very specific word. That's not like turning it into a slang. Somebody must have said that's the name of it, right?
You fucking me up, Wani. I don't know. It's just
That's not
is.
right. I gotta look this up now. You guys wouldn't just make up viaduct. I mean, that's very
There's
specific.
I've been
okay.
hearing it
Have
my
you ever
whole
heard of
life.
have you ever heard of a rice field? Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a silver fish that swims in a rice field. They call it a rice field slick. And if you don't know what that silver fish is, you would never know what they talked about if they said they was catching silver slicks.
Okay, you guys are getting too deep now. Do you expect anybody to know what a hell silver slick is in a rice field?
That's
You're
country folks.
pushing it too much now.
That's country
You guys are
folks.
getting too country.
Hey, I can't help
Does
it. I
anybody
got.
know what that is? Does anybody know about this fish? First off, fish are in rice fields. But I just learned a lot of stuff in one sentence.
Yeah, because they pump water into a rice field,
Ah, yeah.
and they get caught in that pump and end up into the rice field.
Mm-mm-mm. A lot of things are going on down there, aren't they?
Or you know how they catch crawfish in a rice field.
I heard crawdagger. Is that good?
Okay,
It
crawdad,
sounds
crawfish.
delicious.
See, I can hear things.
See, they harvest crawfish out of a rice field.
Wow.
Them crawfish be
I
yummy
did
too. No
not know
shit.
that. Do they eat rice since they're in there?
Yes,
Oh, they must be
yes.
pretty healthy then.
So you need to come on down to
They're
Louisiana.
grass fed.
Take a ride around.
Wani, what you supposed to
A
do is
ride around.
Yeah.
you steam them real good and you put some seasoning on them, and when you get them, you bite the head off and suck the juices out
Okay,
of them.
now y'all know I'm a vegan and I'm not going to do any of that stuff you just said.
I'm not gonna hear any of this.
I'm not going to participate.
Yeah, but that's country folks.
Okay.
to,
Or,
to be
or as my
more
dad would say, down home folks.
educated, because maybe that wasn't as scholarly what I said earlier. The way the tests are biased is with vocabulary. So in certain neighborhoods, um, different vocabulary is taught at different schools.
Okay,
That
but you used the term clean, and that wasn't a good one because if if somebody says you're clean, they should know how to code switch and say, yes, clean means to clean the dishes. They don't think clean means just dressed up.
Okay, do
Because
you know
they,
what casket sharp is?
because they know what cleaning the dishes is and cleaning the house is. So they
Well, Wani,
use
let
that
me
as
put
an
it.
excuse.
What you're saying is true, Wani, but let me put it in context. I was just using the guy's test. He wanted to. He wrote a test called the bitch.
No, I saw
To-
it. What is another
Yeah,
question in there?
that probably was not a good question.
That's
Another good
not a
question.
good one.
Let's see. How about this? Blood. This is the same thing. Which of the following brand names do not belong? Well, this is I don't know these names, but let's see.
Let's go
Boots.
to another one.
What's boot mean? Is it a cotton farmer, or black, a Indian, or Vietnamese citizen?
A boot?
Yeah, this is an old test
Like I
from
put on my,
1970.
like a shoe?
I don't know. This test is from 1972. I don't know the
Things
terms.
didn't change though. Boots are boots.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answers to that question.
Uh,
Well, Louisiana is called the boot.
The trunk. They call the
Mother's
they
Day.
call the back of the car the trunk, the boot. In it was at the UK.
Okay, so number three says Mother's Day. Is it A, Black Independence Day?
Mm-hmm.
B, a day when mothers are honored?
Mm-hmm.
C, a day the welfare checks come in? Or
Mm-hmm.
D, every first Sunday in church?
Welfare Day.
That's not right. You guys are just
Yes, it
blowing
is.
smoke up my butt right now. You guys know better than you guys know
That's
what Mother's Day is. Even if you have another day for it, that's still not a good excuse. Try again. Go ahead. I want to hear
Yeah,
at least.
it's just a bitch test, and you know what? You're right. You're right, Wani, because this he's
These are not good examples.
the writer of the bitch was trying to be facetious and poke fun at the system of white supremacy. But real
Okay.
talk, now that you bring this up, it's too serious to poke fun at it. So I'm gonna say it like this. It's
Because
just
if
but
they said, what does cool mean, right?
right,
And you have some Crips and some Bloods sitting in the class, they're still going to say it means cold in the
right,
class, and then they're going to go out in the street and go, "That's cool."
right, right. Yeah, I agree with you.
I
So
will
he's been
say this though, like I just took a test, like a CPR certification class, and like some of the answers, like when I first took the test, I got them wrong, but it wasn't because like I was wrong. It was because it was said like I didn't catch the way they said it. It was said in this way that like, like the way we say it is different. I can't explain it, but I
I
understand.
don't understand. Here's why I don't understand. We have been hanging around white people for how long?
I haven't.
And we don't know how you have. You watch the TV.
But that's different from
It's not. We know
like
what white people do, what they say, and all the rest of it.
but like seeing white people on TV is different from like
You know how
being
they
out.
talk, though? So, how is this? How are you living in a bubble where you think that clean would only mean your clothes are nice?
well,
That's
Wani.
our language.
I
Wani,
don't, I don't know
I'm
what, I can't
I'm a
understand that.
I'm gonna push back on it, but because I kind of see where you're coming from. I'm gonna ask you a question. What's the possibility that in California, um culture, what am I trying to say?
And the Midwest.
Yeah, let me just say what I'm saying. In the South, this saying has been,
Did you
it
have
doesn't matter.
movies? Did you have movies and television?
We did have movies and
Then
television,
you
that's
knew
true.
how white people talked and what would be expected in school.
I can't agree with that. Cause like code switching is our it's like we have two different languages. I can't because it's sometimes like when I talk to like white people, like especially even in Chicago, like it's sometimes where I say certain things and they be like, huh? Like I'm speaking English, but like they won't understand like what I'm saying because of how I'm saying it and like the way I use the words.
Hey,
How? You sound like a person talking normal to me.
Well, yeah, I'm
well,
just because I'm like I'm doing a little code switching right now, but
Okay,
like,
well,
don't
well,
code switch and
but
let me hear it.
But like
but
really my like my accent, like I could really, like we speak.
Don't don't code switch. Let me hear what they don't understand.
Okay.
If you really want to be fucked up, hang around with some people from New Orleans.
well, no, 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 no.
No, wait.
We're getting off topic.
Okay, you're wrong.
What Wani is bringing up a very serious. This shit's serious. It's serious, and let me answer it this way, Juan. It's just vocabulary. Last time I took the GRE, the graduate, what the fuck is that called? Record examination. The test you take to go to grad school. I took that shit because University of Memphis was offering me a scholarship to get a PhD. I decided not to get it, but I took the GRE anyway. And I didn't understand what the fuck they were talking about because it was using so many words. They had a test where it would be one word. You had to link one word to another word to get to a conclusion. And I know a lot of words, but the words were outside of my lexile. So basically, what the SAT does is uses words that are not commonly used in the black world and are commonly used in the white world. Like
That's
I
not true. White people are dumber than dirt. They don't using any words.
well,
You guys have some kind of inferiority to white people are
No, it's
dumb.
not. I don't think it's inferiority. I think
Well, what
no,
like if
is
you
it? You act
because
like they
we
talk. Have you seen them in a hurricane? They get knocked out by a tornado, and you
eh,
can't even. You
one,
have to
I
put
hear what you,
subtitles under their voice.
I hear what you're saying, Wani, but
Have you
this ain't
seen that? Have you seen the subtitles under white people talking?
yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so
but
how
they
are they
speak like
smarter than everybody in the region?
I'm not saying that. I'm not
it's
saying they smarter. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in and what's starting to happen is it's starting to creep into classism, which I don't want it to do.
Okay, when I was reading a test, I was reading the question over and over again, and I didn't like the way it was worded either. And it was worded to trick me, but not because I was black, just because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I didn't know the answer to the question. I needed to read it slower. I didn't feel like reading it. A lot of reasons, but not because it was white. Sure, they might use some words that are you're not used to, but I really think that a lot of this is like the clean and the boots and all of these other things about viaducts. I think that's really just, I don't believe that that's,
like we'll be like, man, you clean. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
no, no, no. I hear what
but you
Juan is
know the
saying.
other clean though.
No, 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 no. Yeah, and
You don't know just one clean. You know two cleans.
the bitch test, the PhD student that wrote that in the 70s was trying to say "fuck you" to the system of white supremacy. So that's not even. I shouldn't even brought that into it. He wasn't trying to be for real serious. He was just trying to make a
Well,
point.
we
And
know that, okay, so first of all, we know that tests are really damaging because people like me just freeze up because I'm taking a test. So I just go uh, dumb anyway on the whole test. I have to calm down because I know that I'm being tested and it's very important. So I have, nervousness from taking the tests. But I think that what I just don't believe is that you would be so isolated away from normal speakers that you don't understand the word clean is just too much to believe. Not, you have had to be exposed to normal words because you've watched television, you've watched movies, and everybody is not on the movie talking like a black exploitation film.
no, like for example, if I be like, if I say, then they talking about, like I could be like, yeah, so and so they said this, and then they was talking about like that. I'm saying, and then they were talking about, but I'm saying it like, and then they talking
no,
about,
but
like
I
it's
hear
not
what
like I'm saying it like I don't know what that means, but that's just
I
how we communicate with each other. It's not like
well
it.
I actually hear what Wani's saying, and it's true. But what's not being communicated, this is very complicated one. And what I just put in the
It
jumbotron is
is.
it's very complicated, but it's true. The tests are racially
And the
biased, and
tests are not uh They're not a measure of intelligence.
They are not.
They're not. They're
Let
not
me
a
tell
measure. I agree with that.
let me tell you what they're a measure of. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the Jumbotron, the tests are a measure of your ability to sit down in a quiet environment with food on your stomach and learn a bunch of fucking stupid ass words in English that you wouldn't learn in a what we call low SES, like a poor, low socioeconomic status, a low SES school, because like me, I'm worried about the fucking blood shooting out with me. I'm worried about am I gonna eat food today because mama didn't get, ain't getting paid. So it's biased in a whole nother way. It's complex. And there is some argument to say, well, it's not racially biased, it's economically
No,
biased.
it can be racially biased. I'm not denying that. And it's also, like I said, some people don't do good on tests because they freeze up. It's
Right.
called performance anxiety. Um, and I have that. Um, also, but I just don't buy that you're so isolated into this country talking that you don't understand the other words. So that's the only thing I'm pushing back on.
No, I can accept that, and I agree with that. And I think uh, I I made an error by putting the bitch test in there because I kind of I framed the bitch test as like, look, he got them. What I didn't tell y'all is he was trolling. He went to a white school. I think it was University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. He's getting a PhD, and basically he was telling the PhDs that were all white, "Is fuck y'all and your test. My dissertation is gonna be a test showing you that don't know nothing about black." So he was trolling.
But just because a person like might have like an accent or like, like even the like ebonics, right? That doesn't mean that a person is not intelligent just because they might speak differently or, you know, and then the whole like you saying isolation, there is isolation in Chicago. We don't really be around white people like that. We didn't really grow up around white people at all. It's very segregated in Chicago. So we not even really watching white people on TV like that either. So and I
What
don't
about
think,
the commercials?
yeah, but
There's
that's
no
not.
way, there is no way in hell that a black American can live in America for 500 years and not see white people in the way they talk or what's expected. It's just not possible.
Because they're the dominant society. I see
Yeah,
your argument.
it's just not possible to do it. So,
But I don't agree that just because a person not speaking clear English, that means that they're like not smart or
wait, who said
intelligent.
that? You just brought that up out of nowhere.
No, I didn't, because you said that.
I didn't say that they were dumb,
Well, what was your argument then?
that you do know the words.
Right, but I said that's why we speak two different languages. It's not about being
No, I said I needed subtitles under white people. So to say that they're all speaking another language, no, they're not.
No, I never said they were speaking another language. I said we speak another language.
No, they speak poor English as well. If you're saying you speak poor English, I've had to see subtitles under a lot of white people, especially when there's a tornado or an accident or something
Well,
in the
I'm not
news,
labeling it as poor language though. I think that society
or
they
where the average person in America can't understand what they're saying. They put subtitles under some of these people, and they don't mind doing it because people can't understand what they're saying.
but theirs is not looked at as poor language, but blacks language is looked
No,
at as poor language.
it is. It's looked at as poor language.
Yeah.
They literally make fun of it and laugh about it for hours after they talk to the person.
Yeah, it's not right.
I didn't even realize we had so many people trying to speak.
We
I
just
got caught.
ignored what you call it,
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I got caught in this. I wanted to prove my
Mo.
point, but Wani did have a really good point. It's a good point. We do speak the same languages, but Wani, that's what I was taught in graduate school. So for whatever that's
Well, we
worth.
have our own linguistics, and what it says is that we say more ideas with fewer words but we are quite wordsmiths, and we're not illiterate, and we don't, everybody's not isolated to where they don't know the difference between clean and clean or cool and cool. So I just don't buy it. I know that we know all those words.
Facts. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the next speaker, I'm gonna put Nikki the God's Cash App in the jumbotron. Show her love. Likewise, I'm putting Wani Spots Cash App in the jumbotron. Show her love. And if y'all wanted to purchase a copy of my book, where I jump into these issues and give historical context to foundational Black American children and show them what's really going on, um, from Christopher Columbus's real attitude towards the natives to where are we from and the psychological warfare that we deal with. Put $25 on my Cash App, put your full address, and I'll mail you out a copy Monday. If you bought a copy this week, me and my lady just mailed them out today, so y'all should be receiving them shortly. Um,
Now, this guy Mo wanted to speak but put his hand down.
Mo, go ahead, Mo, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say was like the conversation from before, but I was gonna say like that video, I don't think it exists from my experience and from my family's experience. We never got a video. We never seen a video before. I mean, I don't even know where that would even be
How did
played
you
at. To be
immigrate
honest,
here?
I was born here, but in my family, they never really got
So the
video.
ones that came here before, they didn't get a video.
Yeah, or the ones that came after too, they never got a video. Like even recent, the ones that recently immigrated,
I'm not against the
like
video, because if the video said stay away from them, I wish that Africans would have listened to the video and their mammies and everybody else that they claimed had told them to. I wish they would have done that and stop trying to sell us garbage in our neighborhoods. Just stay away.
Right. We didn't know. Like I was finding out. This very interesting being on X because I'm finding out. I was never on Clubhouse, but I'm hearing from scholars that's been on this before me that we found out on Clubhouse that these people hated us. Uh, I knew something was funny. Um, in the late '90s, early 2000s, when I was finishing high school, because uh, me and my sister, and I don't know if I've ever said this before. Um, Me and my sister went to a. My dad put me and my little sister in a very lily white high school to keep me from getting killed because the gang members was trying to kill me because the little girls was liking on me, and I ended up going with somebody's girlfriend. I didn't know, and almost cost me my life. Well, dad put us in a very financial white lily white high school, and dang it, I lost. What were we talking about? I just my point just
Okay,
escaped.
yeah. Now, when you were in this Lily White High School, did everyone seem foreign to you? Were they speaking a foreign language?
Oh, that's it. That's why I brought it up. I brought it up because it was Lily White, and it was just me and my little sister, and it wasn't any black people there. And we during the lunch we were walking around with our trays, and all these blonde people were looking at us like, "You're not sitting with me." So me and my little sister went and sat with two African twins. They were jet black African twins, and they grabbed their shit and like ran away from us. I was like, I never understood that, but they have been trained that the Akata is like, I didn't know, but it's all making sense, is what I'm saying. They were trained that they're not us, but then
But you
again, they're
didn't
gonna
answer
move.
my question.
What was your question?
When you went to this lily white school where all the white people spoke perfect English because they're smarter than everybody, did you
I
understand?
never said
Yes,
that.
but
Don't do that to me.
I'm in a sarcastic mood now, so
But
I
go
can't
ahead.
be stopped.
All right.
Did you understand the words that they were saying, or was it a foreign language?
Um, that's a good question. Initially, I was coming out West End, which was a hood, but I understood it. It's almost, being honest with you, Wani, it was almost like a second language in a way, because it was they were speaking totally different than the brothers and sisters did in West
That's
End.
how I view it. It's like another dialect. I speak various dialects, and I think most Black Americans do as well.
Mm.
Understand, I even, because of where I live, I even understand all kinds of broken Spanish and just all kind of foreign babble. Yeah, I can understand anybody who's attempting to speak English. So, that's something that I
It,
can
it
pick
it
up.
it was a big adjustment, but it grew. When you're young, you can pick stuff up real fast. And I remember when I went back to West End to play ball with my homies, like I didn't realize I was talking, but I was talking differently. They were like, "Man, what
Oh,
the hell
like
you?" What the hell this nigga talking
But
about, man?
these white boys were country boys as well, so how could they be speaking so much differently?
No, 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 no. The high school I went to is in Mountain Brook, Alabama, which is the ninth richest neighbor. I was broke as fuck, and my
Mhm.
daddy had an apartment that was zoned there. Since then, they've got the apartments out the zone,
So
but it was
these Alabama boys were speaking not with an accent?
they were rich folk. There was some rich
What
folk.
does
It was
rich have to do with their accent? You
it's
see, this argument is falling all the way apart. They were country too, only
no,
they
they
had
weren't.
money.
They had a lot of money. They weren't. Alabama's is it's kind of hard to explain on it because the neighborhood is kind of metropolitan. Alabama's some country bunking shit. You know that from talking to me. But this neighborhood was and is very. It's Courtney Cox's neighborhood. She's from there, and these people travel the world. And I'm not saying they was just as dumb. Matter of fact, let me get something straight. The kids at the black school were smarter than these kids. These kids was dumb as fuck, but they had exposure. So it was kind of like I don't know, some like a TV show or some shit. I was an outsider, just observing the shit. I
I
wasn't
bet
in
if
it.
I went over there, all of you would sound like you were country.
To
And
you,
I would
probably.
understand every word you were saying, and I would make fun of maybe 2 or 3% of the words and say, "You say it like that?"
I believe that because we got a kid from an Italian kid from New York my junior year, and he called us. I didn't hear it, but he said, "Man, y'all fucking why y'all talk like why y'all talk like that?"
He had an act. He was saying that from New York.
Yeah, he asked us like, "Why the fuck y'all talk like
An
that?"
Italian from New York was messing with somebody from the country. That's fun.
Wani, did you go to school in like a multicultural like school?
Los
Like what?
Angeles, it had a bunch
Oh,
of people, and then on the East Coast too. And yeah, just regular talking.
My impression of Los Angeles is like it's kind of like everybody's, like you got a lot of different cultures there. Birmingham was straight fucking segregated. Like when I was there, I think it still is really. You had the black side of town, you had the white side, you had the black side of town, you had the white side of town, and then you had the rich folk, which is why it made my high school different.
Well, I went
Um,
to school in Delaware, but everybody didn't have a very hard country accent. The people in Delaware that did have a country accent, we teased them about the way that they said tire and Harold, and because they said tar.
tar,
And I got a flat tar. Like a
tar.
what? A flat tar? I said, say tar. The one that coat the street with. How do you say that? Tar? Okay, never mind.
Well, to give you context for understanding, Wani, in the South, in Alabama, there's an element. Well, I don't know what it is now, but back in the day, it was an element of shame in Alabama. Matter of fact, school teachers used to say, "Well, at least we're not Mississippi." Like it's kind of like we're dumb. Although the smartest people on the planet live in Alabama, NASA's in Alabama. But you know what I'm saying? Culturally, people make fun of the accent like you're dumb or something. So when I was in high school and we would get an exchange student, I mean, like not exchange student, somebody would move from Los Angeles or New York or New Jersey, people would flock around them and try to start talking like them, if that makes any sense, to try to not sound Southern, even though we're in the South. So it's that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school on both coasts, So I that's probably why I know my cousins and stuff, they have Delmarva accents, or they'll have a Delaware accent very strong, or they'll have a New York accent, or they'll have a Philly accent. So they have all kinds of accents, and we just sit up making fun of each other's way to pronounce words when we get together.
Philly and New York sound similar to me.
No, they
To me,
yeah
I'm
to
a country
you,
motherfucker.
to you, yeah, yeah, they're different. They have
Very unique.
they're
Yeah, they
different.
Philly and New York. New York and New Jersey sound similar, but not Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to work with my boss at LOC at the college was from Philly, and she sounded like, "Hey, yo, yo, yo." Does it sound like New York to me?
Yo,
Hey, yo, we're gonna do this. Like, we're gonna kick it, yo. I was like, "What is
wait, what
yo?"
was her background? Was she
From
Italian?
no, she's black, light skinned black
Well,
girl.
she said yo that many times. That's wild.
Yeah, yeah, in her 40s, real smart. Now,
See,
accent, I don't care for. My dad's from Baltimore. That accent's
you don't
crazy.
like that. I call that Delmarva accent. That's funny. Yeah, they have it real bad.
It's a EW. Do
She's like, what you talking
you
about? What you talking about?
bow.
Bait. Yeah, I had a good time laughing at my cousins. They have it very bad.
A cool accent is Boston. That shit's cool. They sound like English people.
Somebody do it.
Not far, Massachusetts, Mass Ave. Take a
Oh,
right on Mass Ave. Get in the car. We're gonna meet in the bar.
the car. Yeah, the car and the bar. Yep, that's it. Anybody else want to be made fun of?
I think that people from Los Angeles, people from California, don't sound like it. It sounds normal. Maybe
Yeah,
because
they
so
said
many
I sound like a news broadcaster. That's the insult I get.
so many TV shows have been done in California that California sounds normal to me. It's just like you sound like you're on a TV show. The dopest accent ever is New Orleans. That shit's dope. I was and this would be my last little colloquial accent thing. I know I done derailed the whole room, but you got me started, Wani. I finished undergrad and I was interviewing at Southern University, got a law school. It's a historically black college in Baton Rouge. I found out it means red stick. But I was in Baton Rouge, and the Southern camp is so fucking beautiful. It's right on the Mississippi. So you like in class and like barges and shit going up and down, and I was overcome by beauty. So I took out my camera and started recording, and didn't know I was recording. It was some brothers slanging dope, and I didn't know I was recording a goddamn a transaction. And the dude walked up to me and said, "Hey, baby." I was like, "Man, what the fuck you calling me baby for?" He said, "Look, baby, quit taping, baby." I was like, "Man, you better stop calling me baby." But I didn't know that baby mean like, what I'm saying, homie.
What does it mean?
It
It
mean
does.
if he said his homeboy showed me a gun and said, "Quit taping, taping."
What?
Hey, baby, quit taping.
Now I'm not even gonna know what they're talking about.
I was recording with a video. He
Tepin,
said,
Tepin.
"Taping." Hey, baby, quit taping.
Okay, yeah, he's getting too far into it now.
Good food though. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Do Africans blame Europeans for genocides? Yes. Should they? Hell no. Because well, hold on, let me rephrase that. Do West Africans blame Europeans for genocide? Short answer, yes. Should they? Hell no. Because, like Dr. John Henry Clark said, the African invited the European to the table and the African became the meal. You have to be careful with the company you keep and be careful who you let in your house. The West African tribal chiefs, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, the scholarships in the Jumbotron, were the first to damn near give away enslaved cousins, enslaved Africans to the European and to the Arab, And the Arab and the European sat back and said, "These damn fools, we just gonna take their shit and exploit them." And the rest is history. So, given the fact you made those poor choices, you can't complain that the Europeans did it to you, even though they did. The Europeans have a long history of insanity and barbarism, but you let them in the house. What are your thoughts on that, Trey Day? Do you agree or disagree?
Rob the whip never got to talk.
Oh shit! I don't have my glasses on.
Oh
Rob the whip. I'm
no,
sorry.
sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
The whole room went to
Went to hell.
places.
Man, I fell asleep and woke up fucking with
I'm
y'all.
sorry.
I'm over there slobbing like a mug, man. Got kicked out the room and came back, but y'all was getting it in. So, but I'm gonna say exactly what you just said about the first half of the question, and the second half, man. I'm gonna say this as far as uh FBA's failed the community, the educated FBA's. I'm gonna say anybody that's with education and anybody that's basically rich. If you're a black American and you got money like Oprah and The Rock and whoever else, celebrities, athletes, whatever, you failed the community. Every last one of them since the beginning. Because in my the way I look at it, if you had an opportunity to give back, it's a tax write off. It should be a private school for black kids in every city, in the hometown that all these celebrities and educators come from. It should be a private elementary school, private middle school, and a private high school where we control our curriculum and our education, where we can educate our kids. So yeah, that's what I think about that. So um, it could be done now. It should have been done since the beginning. Pull each other up and take the narrative away from the man. You know what I mean? So uh, I got some information to put out, and then I'm gonna take my ass to bed. Um, man, I just left a room, and I wish y'all was up in there with me, boy. I was throwing them things, bro. I kind of stumbled in the new room. It's a fight room, and the topic was our reparations. Why do we feel reparations are owed? And I just kind of fell into the room. I was like, so you had a bunch of black folks in there explaining to white folks, and it wasn't, ironically, it wasn't really ignorance. It was just meaning they were in there saying the N word and nothing like that. It was like a fight room. You just get on the mic and state your case. But they were like, really, they want to know the why do we feel as though, or why do we think that we deserve reparations? And like, I really want to know, man. So I explained, like, I went in. I told him, I said, type in who built New York City. Type in the slaves built New York City. Type in the slaves, and that's went down the line. Georgia, I'm saying Boston, all the major cities, all the way over to the West Coast. I said, and I got some numbers for them. I said, do you realize that slavery off the backs of my ancestors, the U.S. government alone made over $3 billion, which, if you translate that today, it would be over $100 trillion worth of free labor. That's just the government, not to mention private companies like Wells Fargo, the U.S. Railroad, stuff like that, Bank of America. And I went in and I said, in the audacity that you think we have to explain to you why we think we deserve reparations. I was like, damn it. I said, we've been here since the beginning. I said, there's nobody more American than Black Americans. I just went down the line. We've been here since the 1500s and before. Our bloodline goes back. If it wasn't for us, there would be no America. So, for you to sit there and think that we owe you an explanation, you act like you don't understand why. We got this free labor, man. And I put a lot of different thoughts in their head, and but man, I didn't even think of it like that. It's like, so I kind of got the people today. So I was kind of proud of myself, but I wish y'all was in there with me throwing them things, man. Y'all could have changed the narrative. I think I did good, but I wish I had you, like I said, you guys in there who were, because it was, everybody was kind of fighting for the mic. There wasn't no raising your hand in that thing, but I'm gonna land with that, man.
Appreciate it, Rob. Uh,
Can I just say that I was in that room and
Okay.
I heard, but I had to leave because I was just ready to cuss him out. I couldn't take it no more. I had to leave.
Yeah, I've gotten there. I've closed the room down. After that, they was like, yeah, they had to get out of there because I put that heat on their ass.
Which room
I
was
did.
that? I missed the first part.
It was called a fight room. Like it comes in every
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, like about 8 o'clock. They're in there, and it's a guy out of Texas, a white guy who's the host, but he's cool. It's like nobody's in it calling each other the N word. There's a bunch of black and white folks in there just going back and forth. And the topic today just happened to be why do we think we deserve
Oh, of course.
reparations?
No one has
And
anything else to talk about but our business as usual.
Facts.
right, but I use it as a teaching tool. So when I finished uh putting it down, like educating, everybody was like, "Well, damn," like okay, I didn't think of it along those aspects, and so we got a lot to unpack. They were saying so, and then my man just ended the room. They was in
One
there
of
for
the
about three
things
hours.
with white people is they don't realize how close we are to our enslaved ancestors. They really think we can't. And this goes for Caribbeans and Africans too. They think that was way long ago. And because we don't have any records, because we carve things on a rock, you don't have any records. You can't prove anything either. I have proof of two enslaved great grandfathers. And a lot of people do. A lot of people have done their ancestry and can find this information. It doesn't even matter if you have enslaved grandparents either or great grandparents. All you have to do is prove you were black here because being black in America meant that you could be enslaved. It meant that they could ignore your freedom papers if you were a free person of color and throw you back into slavery. That's what a lot of corrupt slave catchers did. So you were under the gun. This is why they had that 1790 Sundry Act for the people that were from Morocco, because they looked to be of African descent, correct?
Preach.
And they had to go to court and say, we need special papers to say that we're, um, you know, uh, subjects of the Moroccan Empire. So don't treat us like them, right? Don't treat us like those Negroes and accidentally put us into slavery. We have to have paperwork, okay? So they went out of their way to do that, which shows you that they couldn't be free in peace, and free people of color couldn't be free in peace. And that's why when slavery was over, they were emancipated as well.
Very true. Very true. Wanda, who was next? I'm skipping over people. It looks like.
I mean, one other thing, this is a lot of reasons why even people in my family call themselves Moors, because Moors did not get treated as bad as Black Americans. And so that's why a lot of people, their birth certificate actually says more, and they're not. I don't have any relatives from Morocco. They're not from Morocco, but that group of people in Delaware were classified as Moors, even on their birth certificates, because of them trying to uh, avoid being treated like a Negro.
But Wani, did those people did they get treated any better? Did anything better
No,
happen for them?
no, no, it didn't. They were right there on the census. It said, Negro, 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 more, more. The end.
Well, we
Well,
Those,
just
in
that's
closing,
the
that's why I
benefit.
just was wishing that
I
you guys was in there with me, man. Y'all have a good night.
see, bro. Well, Wani, I think you were with me when I did the research on Moors. The Moors fucking sold us out, so
Right.
they
But
weren't nice.
no, they weren't. But people in this country classify, that's where all this Moorish junk comes from. They lied and said that they, like, if you were a light-skinned individual but you couldn't pass for white, people would say that they were Portuguese, Turkish, anything dark that was white. And Moors were yet another group that came over here that you could say you were one of them. And you were,
Right.
in fact, not one. In fact, it was so confusing that some Swedish people began to call Black Indians Moors up in Delaware. And they also said that a ship wrecked filled with Moorish sailors, and they were calling them Moors. So a lot of
Wow.
people were being called Moors over in that, hold on, A lot of people were being called Moors over in the Delaware region where my grandfather was born, and his family were listed as Moors. And yes, did nothing, they never got any special treatment. And he went and married my grandmother from North Carolina, who was not a Moor, who was a Black American woman. And he was not a Moor, he was Black American too. Any of these personas that people have tried, even if you were a mulatto, so what's the prize for being a mulatto? Nothing. This is why
Not
we
a
never,
damn thing.
right, this is why
Right.
we never adopted these stupid classifications. They don't make any sense and you don't get any benefit. Who wants to do it? The only benefit you can get as a black person is if you can pass for white and run away from your
Facts.
family and never be seen again. And then you can be treated like a dingy white person. And we don't even know what the benefit of that is.
Wasn't that a movie, Imitation of Life or some
Yes,
shit?
yes.
Yeah, that was a good movie. They kept playing it over and over on YouTube last
Right.
year.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was very good. Can I cut in and just to let some people speak, Wani? Because I don't know how long we're going to be live.
Sure.
I know
Yeah,
we
go
have
ahead. I forgot the
69 cent.
order.
It was 69 cent freedom and somebody named P. I kind of wanted to see who this P was just to get it out the way. And then there's Dr. Bush. See, some of these names right here make me want to get people off the stage because I don't know who you are and what you're trying to do to Professor Space. So who is Dr. Bushmeat? Who are you?
Let's find out. I don't even see Dr. Bush
I
meat.
don't see that either. I see P.
Well, yeah, I'm a black man from Detroit, another Southerner actually. But just wanted to say I enjoyed the conversations. I jumped on yesterday because I think my brother Cash um, had invited me in, or I got an alert. So yeah, I've just been really enjoying this conversation. A lot of things I definitely agree with. To the point about FBAs failing the community, I think we have. My opinion is that um, after civil rights, right, there was this decline of community amongst the FBAs, almost kind of like a we've made it mentality, and there's nothing else to do. Um, which I think a lot of that tied in there. I mean, during civil rights, all we had was community, and then we kind of we got a little bit of something, and people seemed like that was enough. And I think I'm always reminded of King's last interview where he said he felt like the dream had become a nightmare because we got something at a bargain rate, but they didn't really. There was no price to be paid to integrate us at lunch counters and buses. Um, and so I'm always reminded of that interview, which no one, they don't talk about the economics that Kings talks about, right? Everyone always talks about this dream speech, but never the repercussions or his feelings and thoughts thereafter.
Great point. Great point. That is so true. I feel like he was kind of coaxed into saying a few things. Don't you feel that way, P?
Yeah,
Or
Oh,
is something?
absolutely.
definitely. Definitely.
Absolutely. And again, my background, I'm is sociology and social work. And so, I mean,
Love it.
there's been millions of points that you all have made where I was like, ooh, 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 I wish I could have jumped in on that from, the education system to testing. Right now they're like working on lawsuits about the testing for social work because there's this cultural bias that they've actually tested the test and found these cultural biases that as the professor mentioned, is it swings to the white folks. um, and one of the things that I did in my career, I ran or I was a director of a clinical program that was operating out of a juvenile institution, and it was really dear to me because I was able to kind of work with young black men prior to them transitioning over into
or to help prevent them from transferring into like a true criminal justice system. And what we were able to do, it really touched my heart, was that we were able to change their environment. And I mean, I had guys in there who were 16, 17 in there for murder, but we were able to graduate them from high school by focusing in on just their unique skills and abilities and to kind of create a community for them, and so that was always a passion for me. And so I definitely think, I agree with the professor there, like and what Wani was saying. We know that the testing isn't meant for us, but again, kind of going back to this FBA community, when we are able to create community, and get away from this marginalization, which is all done by design in general, right? And that happens because we continue to play this political game, right? The Democrats and Republicans, the true history is that they're the same. There's nothing different between either one of them. They're cut from the same cloth. When Washington was leaving office, right, it was the Federalists and the Democratic Republic Party. Like they ended up splitting in half because of some ideologies, and so, like, again, these are things that we should be teaching our community, even down to the fact that it wasn't Republicans that freed the slaves, because Lincoln ran as a Union nationalist. It's things like that I think the more we do, and again, like things like this, create communities where we're discussing truths and facts, and passing these information on. I got off yesterday and I told my wife, like, we talk about 30 minutes about the same stuff that we were talking about. And, she's a social worker too. And so, I think what all this is great. All I want to say.
Wonderful. I appreciate you coming, and I look forward to next time you giving us your perspective on um, how this, social cognitive theory, and how the environment affects our children. Because I was taught environment is everything. Nikki, who was next? I lost, completely
It's
lost.
going to be 69.
Go ahead,
That person
69.
been waiting patiently for a while.
Okay, 69. Go ahead, bro.
How y'all doing, family? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the wonderful conversation. I appreciate y'all for bringing me up, Professor Wani and Nikki. Um, the topic of the room has really brought back some memories, and connected some dots for me. When I was younger, I um, I used to be a construction manager out of college. Um, I went with the Habitat for Humanity. I used to build houses with them, and part of the program that they had, they would let you do or let you know about different mission trips. So I've been to, like, after Katrina, I went and helped rebuild some houses and get people back in under roofs and stuff like that. But one of the interesting ones that I did was I went out to Nassau Island in the Bahamas, and it's like it's one of the most beautiful places, especially because they have this they have the Americanized part of it as well. It's called Star Island, right? But just beautiful tropics and flowers and all of that stuff, right? But as I'm spending time with, and I went with a Lutheran church as part of the mission trip, and I just so happened to be the only FBA, the only black person that's on the trip. And so we, in between, working on the church and the different things that we were doing, construction wise, that I was helping, we would take breaks and we would go and walk around and go into the different neighborhoods. So they were nice people and hospitable and things like that. And I got to see them. Unfortunately, some of how the people were living. If you weren't older and rich, um, it looked like a tornado came through, and then another tornado came through, and then the bomb dropped on it, and the flood. It's just like I seen, poverty like I never seen before, right? But these people were somehow content with it. But okay, maybe they was just surviving. I'm not sure exactly how the Catholic Church, did them wrong. But check this out. Um, when we was walking around and we went to some of the restaurants, they would push away the natives, the people there. But when we walked up and it's just me and a bunch of white people. Oh, the restaurant's not closed anymore. You know, they was treating somebody that was from the island because they have guards in front of all of the businesses. They pushed them away. But when we came up, it didn't matter that they was closing. They turned the lights back on and started serving us. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, this is different. But that okay, so that's something I've heard people say before. But check this out: the people and the kids at the church, when there was like gathering times of we wasn't working, they all just like hanging on these white people's legs and feet and like touching them, grabbing them, kind of looking at them like I don't know, kind of worshiping them, and that looked strange to me. That's the first time I understood like we different. I was like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, y'all worshiping these white people. You know what I'm saying? I never came from that. I didn't understand that, and it didn't make no damn sense to me because like we can be hospitable to people, but we didn't worship. They worship white people. Some now I'm not gonna say all of them, but that's been my experience with going to some of these foreign places. They literally have a worship of pale skin, and it comes from self hate. Unfortunately, they believe
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
don't know if you've seen the picture of Jesus I put in there from West Africa, but I'll try to find it and put it in the jumbotron. It's
It's really sad, and it kind of hurt my, because we're taught. I kind of grew up with my parents, being somewhat Pan Africanist to some extent. But my mom actually, to get to your other point, talking about the have FBA scholars failed. My first teacher was my mom. She would, especially during Black History Month, she would sit me down and we go through all them inventions. We go through all them stories, um, talking about how we, survived and overcame. And oh my God, just watching every kind of, Black movie, Black Panthers. We just because back, growing up, they didn't really have black people on TV, so that's all we had in our house. Um, you know what I'm saying? So that's the first scholar. I know what you're saying about the institutions, but honestly, your parents got to really put that or wax that wise into you. And if the pride is not at home, then it's also not gonna reflect in the institutions, or you wouldn't believe that Christopher Columbus was a nice dude if somebody told you that. If somebody was telling you something different at home, or at least at the church, or one of your mentors, or something like that. So you just kind of reminded me about them people worshiping that pale flesh like that unnecessarily. You don't gotta hate white people, but damn, that was weird, man. I see these little black kids just surrounding them like they Jesus, sitting in their lap, just being just weird, and like it's starting to annoy some of them, and they like pushing them off. They getting annoyed because it's like they just mobbing these people. I'm like, wow, that broke my heart. I was like, yo, these people really they're brainwashed.
yeah.
I just wanted to share that.
No doubt. I'm putting it in the jumbotron right now. The picture of Jesus the Christ all over Ghana, like from the coast to the jungle. They seem, for some reason, to think Jesus the Christ looks like that. Look in the jumbotron. When I think the Bible describes him as skin of bronze, hair of no, I'm sorry, skin of burnt bronze, hair of wool. So Jesus the Christ in the Bible is described as darker than me. But look at the picture they got in West Africa. It's hate, self hate. Nikki, who
Self
was?
hate.
Yes, sir.
I don't
Um,
know,
One
but
last thing. I'm
professor
sorry, Professor.
professor getting tired, so we're gonna wrap it up pretty
Yeah,
soon.
it's 11 o'clock, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
I see
three
somebody. Let me
more.
see. Did Queen Nini? Did you talk?
hey, Miss Beautiful, sleep already, so
Oh,
it's all good. I'm gonna
Can I
sneak
say
in.
this one
I'm,
last thing? They didn't worship me.
I'm
I'm
gonna
I'm
just
gonna
sneak
saying
into
be
bed in a
real
minute.
they
quick
took it,
because
but
I
they
know
didn't
you
worship
have
me.
to
That's all I
go
want
to
to say.
sleep, Professor. And I just want to say hi, Professor. Hi, Miss Money. Hi, Miss Nikki. I got a cold from all these damn chemtrails that they spraying out here in California.
Oh no.
Yeah. I started burning earlier this week and throat issue, but anyways, I just want to thank you guys again
for hosting this space. Do Africans blame Europeans for genocide? Of course they do, because they can't take responsibility for their own actions. Had they not
Preach.
sold our own ancestors, we would not. We would have outranked them in number, and we would not. That country wouldn't. The richest country would not be looking like that. Um, have FBA failed the community? Uh, I don't think they have, but I think that
No,
quote
it
unquote
says
the
it.
enemies
It says FBA
have
educated people. Put the
have
books in. Can you see? Can you see the little books?
yeah have
Yeah.
if yeah have they filled the community my god filled the community, oh my goodness, I can't, the community.
I'm sorry.
I don't think they have, but uh we just gotta stay ready, because they keep coming at us at all angles, finding different ways to keep us down. Like Professor said, and Miss Wadi said, they, over the years, they've done things to us. So we just gotta stay ready, so we don't have to get ready. Now we know our they tactics, so we just have to make sure we ready for every which way they throw a punch. And that's all I gotta say. Have a blessed night, Professor Miss Wadi, Miss Dickey, and everybody else.
You
I
too,
hope
Queen
you
Edie.
feel
Get you some
I
better.
feel
tea.
better.
Yeah, get you some tea.
Oh
Some
yeah, I'm sipping some of this organic tea that got like all kind of stuff. It's supposed to help you. Thank you guys.
hope you feel better, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get certain vitamins in too.
What's that
Zinc,
echinacea,
C, and
elderberry?
D3, zinc, and
Mm-hmm.
vitamin C,
Okay.
D3, and zinc. All three of those together will keep your
Mm-hmm.
immune system going. Whether you drink it
Okay.
or eat it or take some vitamins, that'll keep your immune system
Okay.
strong.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. I have to
sorry.
take those anyway from my bones. So think I'm a take more. Thank you so much.
Nikki, who is up?
I don't know. We can start wrapping it up, and they can
Mm-hmm.
speak tomorrow. It seems like everybody who's up here spoke before. You want to speak again? Hey, love. Go ahead, hon.
Real quick, and I'm not trying to do too much, but the fact that you guys brought up linguistics of Black Americans is so, it just makes my heart sing, because I love linguistics and I love literature and language. And the professor was talking about the bitch test and this, that, and the third, and I just wanted to say, and I said it in my quotes, that even some of us, and even in the same state, have different vernacular and different accents, and that these things should be explored, and we should talk about them more. And I would love to see the doctor do a multiple part series on language in elementary, or the state of elementary education for Black American youth, middle school Black American youth, high school Black American and youth, and college Black American and youth. I think it could, and also versus PWIs, and when we're talking about college bound. But language is multifaceted, and one thing I want to say is, being from the I'm from the Chicagoland, I'm from the mighty Midwest, okay? But my grandmama, not my mama, but my grandmama is from Winona, Alabama. I mean, Winona, Mississippi. And my granddad is from Opelika, Alabama. And back in the day, it used to be called Society Hill. It wasn't called Opelika. However, when I went to school, I left my little town in the Midwest, and I went to Alabama State University, a Black university, HBCU,
What year did
and
you graduate?
I graduated in 2015,
Oh wow, what program?
and English,
Okay.
English literature. And so, but what I wanted to say is,
Yeah, I got it. I grabbed my bachelor's. I finished my bachelor's degree there.
oh,
Yep.
sure enough, follow me.
Yeah.
When I kind of felt a connection to you when you talk about, babe, where your folks from and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how our folks move, your people from. But anyways, I said all that to say is even though I came from the Midwest, was born in the Midwest, my mama was born in the Midwest, and my daddy, when I came to the South, I was still always able to decode language from the South. I was, even though I wasn't born amongst it. And I have noticed that throughout my entire life, if language is coming from anywhere from Black Americans, I can decode it. I can decode it and speak well about it. And I think that attests to the fact that Black children are very multifaceted, they are very intelligent. Because most people cannot do that. And that should be recognized, and we have to start breaking that down. I don't care if I'm hearing lingo from LA. I don't care if I'm hearing lingo from, Oklahoma, or Alabama or New York or Jersey or wherever. I can still decode that language. And that takes skill. That is not something to be ignored. And we have to give our Black children a lot of credit. I think that they have to gain that skill later than our than our older ones. Because, like I said, in my mama in the 1950s, she did that. I think Black people did that, especially in a certain age bracket, like boomers. They had to learn how to do that very quickly, a lot quicker than what our youth have to do now, because their language is more accessible and popular and favored. But back then, you couldn't play around. You had to learn how to be able to code switch effectively and quickly. And so I think the linguistics of Black Americans throughout the United States needs to be studied, and dissected and encouraged and promoted. Because I think that speaks to how intelligent we are and how intelligent our youth are.
Yes, it has been studied already, and
Yeah, no
probably
doubt.
will be again. um, we created a whole language because we didn't want to be illiterate. We wanted to know what was happening. We wanted to communicate with each other, so we created Tutnese. Black Americans are linguistic geniuses.
Totally.
And, just listen to
Exactly.
rappers, singers, opera singers. All of these people are brilliant in their enunciation. We don't have a problem speaking, okay? We're not illiterate. We don't need to have ring a bell like Spanish people. We're not speaking another language. In fact, we've shaped English here. We came into English in Middle English. So they had Old English, Middle English, and Modern. We came in on the tail end of Middle English. So we know how to speak and we have shaped English. Um, in terms of intelligence, no, I'm not going to be told we're dumb either because we had Spanish speakers here, people from Ireland, Italy, Polish immigrants. None of those people have all those inventions. They don't have them. In fact, my grandmother, who was born in 1896, had to kick those people into school because they were so illiterate. They had their children working on farms and not going to school at all. They didn't even believe in school. While we had all those uh, HBCUs, these people that came over here didn't believe in going to school. They had to be forced to go. That's why you have things like truancy. It wasn't because of us. Yeah, they have truancy because they were trying to make their children shoe horses. So I'm not going to compare us to any of these people. I know that, people like to put us down every time, and I'm not exaggerating on what we're about. Okay, we have a particular linguistic style where we convey more ideas, sorry, with fewer words. We speak clear English and we can't judge it by isolated people that have heavy accents, and those people are not dumb either. They just have a heavy accent. So do the white people. in the area. All the people in these isolated areas have strong accents. And like I said, I went to school with various country versions of accents in Delaware, and where I didn't go to school down south though. What else? I would prefer it if we got tutoring. If people are having issues, um, again, I think they speak perfect English, but they may need tutoring, not to be treated like they're illiterate and they need to speak some other language. So, um, push back if you will, but I don't think we're speaking a different language. All the people I've spoken to on this app, all kinds of heavy accents, I knew exactly what they were saying and they knew exactly what I was saying. I haven't met anyone on this app where I couldn't tell what they were saying and they couldn't tell what I was saying.
And I agree. I agree with most of it. What I do think is that America does, to a certain extent, and our testing in our schools need to incorporate Black linguistics. We have fairly contributed to this country. We have overcompensated ourselves, or exhausted ourselves, I should say, for the benefit of this country. And the very least they could do is do fairly on standardized tests, in educational materials and things of that nature, to bring our language that we have created here as Black Americans into it. I don't think it is fair that we always have to code switch and white people do. White people don't. I'm sorry, I should
They
say.
do
They,
actually, because they don't speak good English either. They do have to code
uh,
switch. I've gone to school with these broads, and I swear to you, I swear to you, these
that's
girls were
facts.
speaking Valley Girl talk and could not code switch their ass out of it. They were stuck talking
Mhm,
like idiots, and that's the way
Were
they
mhm.
they
talk.
stuck saying like,
They're like,
like?
oh my God, I can't believe our boss did that. Oh my God. They got fired for
Because
saying,
they
oh
have a
my
very
God.
limited vocabulary,
It,
but they like to try and push that on us when we have a very extensive and
extensive.
unique vocabulary. I
Exactly.
agree with you. But I want to say, yes, I agree with you on that. But I'm just saying, I think besides, like we talked about, so many of the standardized tests being mostly white and based on white history, we have to make a demand that Black history
But
and
now
Black
you're talking
literature.
about history. That's different than we're talking about talking. We already know they don't want to give us, our just due, and that's why we have to have Black History Month. That's our job, is to tell
Yes,
our children the correct history. Because even when they say, "Okay, we'll do it," they don't do it right. I
they
don't know
don't
what
do
the
it. I
problem
agree.
is.
I agree.
It's
We
not
gonna have
that
to make them do
hard.
it. We gonna have to make them do it.
Well,
And I agree
speaking
with
of
you.
Black history, if y'all want a story on true Black history, took me 3 years to write it. It's only 80 pages. Go to Jumbotron, put $25 on Our Story Publications, put your full name and address, and I'll send you out a workbook Monday where I tell the true story of Black history from multiple sources from 1492 to 1776 to the American Revolution before this was a country. Yeah, like Wani said, we're responsible for telling our own history, and that's that. We can't. What did Malcolm X say? You can't trust the enemy to tell your story. I'm
Right.
paraphrasing Malcolm
You
X.
cannot. Just like if I was an immigrant here from Sweden and I wanted my children to know about Norse gods or Swedish history or Viking history, it's on me to teach them. I can't expect an English colony to tell them about it. No, you have to tell them, or else they're going to learn. They're not even going to know about Lewis Latimer. I mean, really, we had Black History Month and they don't even tell the children. They tell them something. I don't know what they're telling them. I don't know. But
Well,
they,
I just
Telling them now our history comes from Africa, and that is not the truth. A lot of
yes,
most
that's
of
a
our
new
history come
thing.
here from Black America.
Right, but
Facts.
it's Black American history, and when they weren't doing this African BS in these classes, they still wouldn't cover the things that we want to cover to, let people know our inventions and things like that. children were still coming out not knowing about all the things that we did. And like I said, all these other immigrants, they didn't have HBCUs and all these inventions. They were lucky to take their butts to get a third grade education. And they a lot of these people were running around in gangs. So again, I'm not going to put us in, but before we leave, I want to know, you said that the school should incorporate Black language. What is that?
Okay, I want to just say something real quick. I want to provide context behind what I was saying earlier. Um, so we have people in Chicago that's trying to pass legislation so that we can get extra tutoring for our children. And like the basis behind it was, since Hispanics are getting extra tutoring time because they can't speak English, that was like the basis behind it. Like it wasn't, it's like that was how we were trying to frame it, because technically, I guess, if we want to get like direct, I guess it is linguistics. Yeah, we're all speaking English, but we have different ways of speaking it. And so that's a way that we're trying to get legislation and policies passed so that our
You're
children
so
can get that
smart.
extra tutoring time,
You're
that
so
extra
smart.
math.
You're so smart.
I will say, I personally don't think that our kids need extra tutoring. What I think is that we must demand that the United States government, federal and state, include our language and our vernacular because
Which is
we
what?
have done so
What's
much
our
to
language?
benefit
What's our
this
language?
country. We should not have to conform to their style of language
What's
solely,
what's our
or
language?
I think we have a different. Think we have a very different.
I don't, because you're speaking English and I understand what you're
It's the
saying.
linguistics.
It
It's the
is
linguistics
you
You
and
know,
how
it's
we
both are
frame
speaking.
intricacies,
our
You both are
sentences.
intricacies,
speaking
and
English.
context, and all, and mood, and tone,
You
and
both are speaking
pitch.
English, though. You're
I
not
agree,
speaking a
but
different dialect at all.
I agree I agree that they're, to a certain extent, not speaking a different language, but the things that I mentioned, mood, tone, pitch, atmosphere, all are incorporated in Black linguistics, and I think that we should do more to incorporate who we are as Black Americans, because we have significantly contributed to this country and its development, that we deserve that recognition, and that we deserve for that to be also put on our
I
state
agree that we
standardized
have
testing.
done everything in this country and built it from the ground up, but you have to articulate exactly what our language is and how it's different from how everybody else is speaking before you can say incorporate it in there. Incorporate in what?
So if I be like, if I tell somebody I know, hey, who going to the store? That, like, if you was to use that same phrase in like a academic context, that's not right. That's not how you supposed to say it.
And I
Carol's
want
ready to
to
leave the
add,
And,
room right
sister, I'm
now.
want to add that they don't have a problem with profiting off of it
right.
when they want to use our vernacular to put
Mm-hmm.
on candles, when they want to use our vernacular to promote advertisements, when they want to use our vernacular to promote anything that they want to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have no problem including it then.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's used against us. Of course, I do think that our black children deserve more focus on academia and historical relevancy. They're actually currently, a lot of parents, your children are coming home with A's, but they're teaching your child 2 or 3 grades below average. So they're telling them, "Oh, you're doing wonderful. That's great." But when they go to compete, they're teaching them, and we don't, a lot of parents have no idea about this. And so that's why we're trying to get them more tutoring and more support, because not only are they not supporting black children, but they're undereducating them. So it's just a lot.
How would the
But
tutoring work? Are you speaking about something that they do in the school or outside of the school? Like I was talking about the
yeah,
tutoring
in or
rings,
out. Yeah, in or
in
out.
Both.
or
Yeah.
out.
And we're trying to work with community leaders right now in Chicago, and right now we're being suppressed from even gathering. We can't use the community spaces, we can't use the churches. So it's a lot of multi-layered things that's going on that's really affecting our children. It's kind of like a ripple effect. But like our children education, a school in your community, that's the cornerstone of your community, that's the representation of your community. They know this, and we have people advocating for, you know not only getting the same resources that other people are getting, but also advocating to raise the bar of education for our children. And it's like a fight because we have people saying no, they don't need that. They always telling us that we don't need it, but then we have people actually fighting for legislation that we do need so that our children can compete on a national level. So I'm just even, if it's any parents out there, please, when you get your children test scores, look at their test scores and compare them on a national level, because that is more accurate than the teacher telling you. Because my son, they had my son doing third grade work in sixth grade, and I'm just like, I was so heated and mad. I'm like, I'm homeschooling him right now. We trust our children, we trust these institutions, with our children, and they are not. They are setting them back, and we just have to really be vigilant on that. And we got people fighting. We do have people fighting, you know,
Yeah,
but
Chicago is very active. I'm glad to hear it. They have been really
A-
driving the country in the right direction.
And that's
I'm
why I
very
was
proud
saying
of
I would like
Chicago
to
as
hear
well.
yeah, I would like to hear the professor speak more so, or have I'm not saying more so, but on a series of black children in education in different levels in the United States. That is a talk that we need to have, because the youth determine where our future is going to go. And it is my opinion that our youth are being disenfranchised. It is my opinion that our tax dollars that we pay every time we buy something, every time we file taxes, every doggone paycheck, that money is going to other entities than black children. It's even going to other entities more so than white children. Ain't that nothing? And so like I said, when you come into a school, or or educational institution, and you look around, and uh refugees or people from other countries, they got iPads, they got phones, they got translators, they got all of these things that cost all this money, and black children barely have anything. Black children or and schools barely have textbooks, but they buying translators and iPads for them. Ain't that about a bitch?
or clean water.
But
Thank you.
a lot of people are getting deported, so that may loosen up that may
Is
make
it? But
things
we have
better.
to we got to make a stand on it. We got to make sure it happens, because they are taking this money from black children that deserve it. Because me, my parents before me, my great grands, great, 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 all going back, have paid federal taxes into this land, sale taxes, all this kind of money into the United States. And you telling me somebody can come from Nicaragua, and they got iPads and everything else, but my black child can't get it?
Yeah, it's horrible. What they've done with immigrants is outrageous, and they need to go
It's
to jail. They
outrageous.
need to go to jail. I'm not going to be happy until I see them in jail for what they did. Treason.
Because it's theft. It is theft. They are taking our resources and giving them to other countries and other children that have not earned that right. We have paid the dues for our children in this particular country, and I want them to see and get the best education possible, but I also want there to be some inclusion of what we do and what we have said in our beliefs in the United States educational system. And so that's why I said I would like to hear Professor talk about this. And I thank you all for letting me up. I appreciate it.
Well, hey, love, do me a favor and DM me the topics you want me to talk about, and I'll incorporate them in our upcoming spaces.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we're gonna wrap it up for tonight.
All right, ladies and
Um,
gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. I'm getting in the bed. I will see some of y'all on Tariq's space. What a wonderful space. Enjoyed your contributions. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow on tomorrow's space. Um,
Peace, y'all.
um, Juan, did you have any last words?
No, good night, everybody.
Nikki, last words?
good night, everybody. I thought I was unmuted. Good night, everybody.
Okay, I'll see y'all later. And again, I enjoyed y'all. If you want a copy of my book, go to Our Story Publications, $25, and put your full address and zip and name. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.